Hello and welcome to the Yggdrasil podcast. I am your host, Retta Tosker. Today we have Rurikhan again, a popular Monster Hunter and Souls YouTuber. Thanks for coming, Rurikhan.
Am I popular? Really? Is that?
Well, you have more subs than me still.
I feel like subs is like not a very good, accurate way of determining popularity. Like I look at the amount of views you get per video, and I'm just like, God damn it! Look at this friggin' guy. I think that subs doesn't really matter that much. But anyway, thank you very much for having me.
No, yeah, one of my favorite people to have on.
And well, thank you. I appreciate that.
And I think what we're going to talk about today is obviously the Game Awards and the Elden Rings, no DLC, and Monster Hunter. I think that Monster Hunter Wilds is. We should keep that to the end because that's probably going to be the biggest topic, and we're just going to spend all of our time on that basically. But what I want to start with is the Game Awards. What did you think of them? Did you enjoy them?
I always enjoy the Game Awards. I understand that there's always like some type of situation around the Game Awards because people don't appreciate the advertisements around them and they want them to be more of a celebration and all of that stuff. Having said that, when I was going with my live stream, because I streamed it, I believe you streamed it as well, we couldn't see from the stream perspective the big wrap it up signs.
Yeah.
So initially I thought, oh, that's kind of funny. Look at him popping in the cueing in the music in the middle of people's speeches like he really didn't appreciate what Christopher Judge did last year. But then I saw like the pictures that came out afterwards of them putting wrap it up to like AG Onuma.
Oh yeah, that's
friggin' Neil Newbon while he's trying to do a eulogy for somebody that died during the development of Baldur's Gate 3. And I was like, whoa. Like you took things maybe a bit too far there, buddy. Like I know it's your show, but and there was a lot of also like needless fluff on there. Like I don't think anybody cares about the Fallout TV show. I don't think a whole lot of people care about like the Last of Us TV show. Most of us are there for the games, not necessarily these adaptations or whatever, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm just a big boomer. I don't know.
Well, it didn't look great to me. That was the first time I had seen the Fallout TV show, and I generally don't like these kinds of TV shows anyway. And I didn't think it looked good in the first place. I was like, okay, whatever.
I don't even watch most of that stuff. Usually the only free time that I have, I use it on video games and family. That's it.
Right.
I have very few time for other media, especially after being brutally disappointed by how they butchered one of my favorite franchises of all times, Star Wars. Jesus Christ.
I actually I wasn't a Star Wars fan. I had kind of seen parts of all the movies like growing up, but I never had sat down and actually just watched the movies. And so I watched the original trilogy like 2 years ago or something like that. And I'm like, wow, this is really good. People should talk about this.
We should make a whole podcast talking about it. I could tell you all about that. I don't think it'd be very appropriate on today, but yeah, it's like the old school Star Wars was amazing, and what they've done with that franchise is an absolute travesty. But yeah,
I didn't actually watch like the newest Disney ones. I got like halfway through the first movie and I was like, oh, this is not good. Like I don't like this at all. And I just stopped.
Force Awakens I didn't feel like it was that bad. It was kind of like basically taking A New Hope and remaking it, modernizing it. It failed on a lot of aspects, but it wasn't the worst. Like, trust me, the one after that might be the literal worst piece of media I've ever seen in my whole goddamn life. They did do a good one, though, that I would recommend that you can watch, which is Rogue One. Rogue One is good. I like that one.
I did actually like one thing. I liked Andor, which was
I haven't watched that
which
yet.
is a TV show, because it wasn't. Well, first of all, like it didn't reuse all that many old Star Wars characters, which is a big thing that people complain about now. Like, oh, they're just using the same three characters. Like this, a galaxy worth of people, and they're using the same three popular characters so people can look at them and be like, oh my god, it's that character that I like. And no, it was its own thing, its original story. And what I liked most about it was that it's post, like it's still an imperial thing. Like the empire is still in control of everything, and it shows like some of what that looks like. It shows the bureaucracy of it, and I'm like, oh, this is actually interesting. Like these characters are actually doing the business of the empire. Very, very interesting.
Yeah, I might check that out at some point, but it's like usually I've always been more about the movies than the series. I always try to get into the series, but it's not the same. Like I want one big like 90 to 2 hours to 3 hours big showcase cool ass movie. That's what I've always associated with Star Wars, and the series don't do it the same way for me. Even though I believe that like people said Mandalorian's awesome, what I've seen of the Mandalorian's really good, but it's not the same. But
So yeah,
yeah, getting back
this.
to the Game Awards. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, we always do that. We go on off on a tangent. We always come
Yeah.
back. That's the important part. But no, I completely agree with you about the. So okay, let me put it this way. I have an awful chat when it comes to the Game Awards or my streams. Like they're just the worst, and I it's my fault because I encourage them. So last year, like they were playing the music and it just became a meme because I was like, no, I've had enough of this. Get this out of here. Play the music, and like it became a whole thing with the chat, and we did it again this year, and like I am there kind of for the ads. The show is for the ads. Like I don't care that much about the awards themselves, really. I don't care that much about the people receiving the awards, and I don't care that much about the I'm there to see the Elden Ring DLC. That's what I'm there
Yeah.
for, and I don't even care about most of the games that are being presented. So that it is the case that I've kind of been callous. But when I saw that thing, like there was a video of it where I saw the video of someone pointing their phone over to the "Please wrap it up" sign, and Aonuma's over there, and he's trying to get his speech translated, and they notice the thing and they like rush off stage. Now and then I got angry. Like
It strikes a chord, particularly because, like, I guess for Western people, I feel like one of the things that they don't understand is that Japanese, in general, if you're not aware of Japanese culture, they're incredibly polite. Like you tell someone, doesn't matter how important they are in this industry, what legendary status they have, they have like a lot of decorum. So the moment you say wrap it up, AG's like, okay, we gotta go, we gotta leave. Right? He doesn't even take it that much as disrespectful. He just complies with what is said because that's kind of like a lot of Japanese culture when it comes to not just events but like formal situations like this. But it is definitely disrespectful. Now in regards to the ads thing, like you touch on an interesting point, which is you said you don't even care about the awards. Now me, when it comes to the awards, to me it's just not the most important part. Because at the end of the day, anybody that actually looks up how these awards get given out, you very quickly understand that it is very much a popularity contest among most mainstream media outlets. Now, they have been getting a little bit better in terms of who they allow to go on the jury. Like, I don't know if Skill Up was there this year, but I think at one point Skill Up was a part of the jury. And Jeff Gerstmann is a part of the jury, who is someone that I respect in the industry. And there's a couple of more figures in there, like Easy Allies and whatnot. There's a couple of more figures in there that I have some respect for, but a lot of the big mainstream news media, I already know the type of games that they like, which is why it doesn't surprise me after a conversation that I had with Cowboy, because I didn't really play Alan Wake 2. And I talked with Cowboy to kind of like get a vague idea of what Alan Wake 2 was like. And it's like, yeah, it's definitely not the game for me. I get it. It's whatever. But I understood why the gaming media liked it as much. You want me to elaborate or something? Like you just said,
No, I didn't play Alan Wake 2, so there'd be no point. I wouldn't understand.
Yeah.
It looks okay. I'll probably play it eventually. I'm not into paying full price for it right now. It's like it doesn't look like the kind of thing I'd want to just pay full price for.
Yeah, but basically because of the way that it works, usually I'm rooting for certain games to win.
Yes.
Because I still want to see the games that I like kind of like be represented, and I want to see the developers that I enjoy their work to be more celebrated and all of that stuff. So I'm invested up to the point where it's like, oh, I want it to win. But if it doesn't win, it's not a big deal for me. I don't really care that much. I'm not gonna be like, oh my god, I can't believe this game won, unless it just feels like terribly bad. Like for instance, when The Last of Us 2 won over Ghost of Tsushima, I was like, wait a minute. I played both of these games, okay? Don't even try me with this, okay? I've played both of these. I know exactly which one is the better game, like I don't even think that it is a thing where somebody could be like, oh, but this one does this thing better. This one, it's like, no. Ghost of Tsushima is just better. And people are saying, oh, but the story of Ghost of Tsushima is also better. Okay?
I'm
sorry. It's also better. I don't care. Okay. And it's just like one of those things. When it gets really egregious like that, I'll be a little bit upset. Like, I feel like if Alan Wake 2 won Game of the Year, I probably would have been a little bit upset. But it's also, at the same time, it's not something that I feel like, oh, I need validation for my games. Because, like, my Game of the Year was Remnant 2. It was nominated for one award, which it lost to Armored Core 6, which is fine.
How did you feel about that? Which one did you think deserved that award?
I feel like both of them deserve that award because they're both absolutely phenomenal games.
Okay, but you're the award giver. Pick one.
Yeah, if I could choose one, I choose Remnant 2. Like, I'm sorry, I love Armored Core 6. I love it to bits, but like, I played way more Remnant 2, and I probably had more fun with Remnant 2. But having said that, both of these games, as well as Final Fantasy 16, got absolutely robbed at the Game Awards. Like, and here's the thing, because during the Game Awards, they announced like a new DLC for Final Fantasy 16. I bought the new DLC and I wanted to play that, but apparently I can't because I'm like halfway through my Final Fantasy playthrough, which is the next difficulty. I don't know if you played it or not, but I'm halfway through a playthrough and you need to be at the end of the game in order to go to the DLC. And so I started playing again Final Fantasy 16, and the more I played it, the more I was like, God, this game was so robbed at the Game Awards. This is disgusting. Oh my God. But yeah.
I probably, like, I'm similar to you. I would be upset if like the thing that I think should win Game of the Year doesn't get Game of the Year. But which didn't happen. Like, Baldur's Gate won Game of the Year, and I thought that was what deserved it.
Was Baldur's Gate 3 your Game of the Year? Your personal Game of the Year?
No, that was Armored Core 6. But I still think that Baldur's Gate 3 deserved the award.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, 100%. I agree. My personal one would have been Remnant 2.
Remnant 2, yeah.
Yeah.
That probably would have been my running second. I also think Lies of P was robbed for art direction. I don't remember what won.
See, dude, I'm so happy you brought that up. Because I feel like I was the only one that was talking about that. I was like, bro, the art direction of Lies of P is amazing.
It was gorgeous, yeah.
And you're talking to someone that kept saying, like, I have a love-hate relationship with this game. And even I can go like, bro, the art style of this game is awesome.
Do you recall who won that award?
The art style thing?
Yeah.
I think it was Alan Wake.
What? See, I'm angry all over
again. If it wasn't Alan Wake, I'll be surprised because I feel like every category that I'm not sure who won, it was probably Alan Wake. But yeah, I agree. Lies of P definitely got ripped off when it came to that category. And another thing that I wanted to bring up was like, I can't believe that Armored Core 6 did not get a nomination for Best Sound Design. Like that to me. Yeah. I was like, what? Did you people even play this game? What were you doing? Were you wearing like cheapo headphones? Were you wearing your AirPods or something while you were playing the goddamn game? Did you not hear the actual audio? Because like, look, I rock Sennheisers, okay, whenever I'm listening to stuff, because it's, in my opinion, it's the best audio quality, and I'm not sponsored, and this is not a sponsored show, but like, bro, I rock Sennheisers. They have amazing quality, so whenever I'm playing something, I get like the full audio experience. And I don't think there's any single audio moment this year that beats that moment that Rusty goes, I won't miss. Boom, bro. It was so good. But I mean, overall throughout the rest of the game as well. But just like that moment, there's not a single game that has that moment as an audio experience at all. None of them.
You know, going back to the controversy with the time.
Yeah.
The real issue with the time, now that I'm thinking about it, is that like these games are great, and again, like there's a limit to how much I really care about it, but still, it seems to mean something. Like Aonuma took time out of his schedule to come to the awards and sit through like 3 hours worth of ads, to get his award, and they rush him off stage in 30 seconds. And like, yeah, we can all say, yeah.
And And Sven, like Sven was in there with full plate armor. And they rushed him off stage.
And he won Game of the Year. He won
Game of the Year.
It wasn't like this last year. You know, I guess it's because they wanted to overcorrect because of Christopher Judge's.
It was Christopher Judge.
Yes.
It's Christopher Judge's fault. Which I'm sorry, I'll let you go on, but then I want to bring up another thing about Christopher Judge.
I think I know what you're talking. We definitely should get into that. But so yeah, I get that they want to overcorrect, but 30 seconds is silly. Like the 30 seconds is dumb. Like ostensibly, we're here for that. That's what we're here for. Like even if there's a limit to how much people care, we should still like at least pretend to be polite. Like give them 2 minutes. Don't give them 30 seconds. And especially, I think it's egregious.
I think it should be like 3 to 5.
Yeah,
3 to 5 at least for Game of the Year.
Yeah, however much they want, especially if it's Game of the Year. It's like Christopher Judge got 8.5 minutes for his best voice actor award. Give them something, and it's it's not even about just that. It's the contrast between that and the celebrities that get to do their little quips and their little jokes up there for like 5, 6, 7 minutes straight. That it like no matter how little you might care about the Game of the Year awards or how little you might care about that, and you're here for the ads, I bet you care a lot less about that guy with the cast, you know, making his little appearance and doing like, I don't care. Who are you? I don't know.
What guy with the cast? Oh, I know that he's a voice actor for Stormgate. Yeah.
Okay.
I know who that is.
Yeah. Okay. But I don't care. He's there because he's famous. And then Kojima brings his famous people up on the stream and they get an unlimited time to talk about their trailer.
Okay. I do have to say that Kojima glazing is getting maybe a little bit out of control. Okay,
what
just
do you mean
a little
glazing?
bit like. Okay, you're not familiar with that term.
I don't know that term.
I'm not going to explain it on this podcast. It would not be appropriate. It probably means exactly what you think it means. Okay, let's just put it like that.
Okay.
But basically, I understand that, like, look, I too would love to, like, hang out with Ryozu. I would love to hang out with Yoshi P. I would love to hang out with Miyazaki. Okay, these are 3 people that I absolutely admire in this industry. But it's like, you can't just take up 15 minutes of everybody's time when the only thing that he's announcing is a big nothing burger. It's like, oh, I'm making a new game. That's great. I love Death Stranding, Kojima. I thought it was awesome. Mm-hmm. But like, what exactly have you shown us here? They're like 2 faces saying words. And then you brought Jordan Peele. And then somehow Jeff Keighley calls them the 2 goats. And I'm like, I'm not sure that works when it's 2 people.
Keighley was simping for Kojima so hard. In that
he
award.
always
does
and I get it, because like I said, like I'm also a fan of a lot of developers. I get it, but like you're also putting on a show and you're rushing people off of stage when you just gave Kojima like 15 minutes of stage time. It's like, okay, bro.
I don't dislike Kojima.
Me neither. Yeah.
I have voiced some doubts of his I have this weird relationship with Kojima where I like his work, I admire his work. I even enjoyed Death Stranding after I gave it a chance, where I thought I wasn't going to like it at all. But I'm really a fan of Metal Gear Solid 1, 2, and 3, like specifically. I think that's his best work. And
you didn't like 5?
I did like 4 and 5, but I think that 1, 2, and 3 are his best work. Like I think that's his just magnum opus, like the peak of his career. I'm not sure he can make anything on that level again. But no, 5 was great. So was 4. It's just I hold those 3 in such high regard.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah. So like, yeah, so I really just don't think he can ever make something like that. And so I'm distantly looking at his career. It's like, all right, I liked Death Stranding. I'll play Death Stranding 2. But like there's I have more positive feelings towards Miyazaki, and Miyazaki is not all over the media and all over the place and
yeah, he's busy working.
Yeah, is how he. And Kojima's always out there. Always, everyone's like, "Oh, Kojima, he's the GOAT. He's the best. He's the greatest. He's God's gift to gaming." And I'm like, yeah, but does he have to make such a show of it? Like all his games have the Kojima on it. Like Miyazaki is extremely hands-on in all the games that he directed. He's almost almost seems mentally ill with how hands-on he was in the design works interviews. How he talked about how he would give different teams different pieces of information and tell them to direct, and then they'd like talk to each other. Hey, did he tell you about this? It's like, yeah, but he told me a different thing, and because he's trying to get their creative juices flowing. It's like it's he directs weird, but you don't see him, on Twitter. You never see.
He's more humble.
Yeah, he's just working. He's just slave driving them away, and hopefully it works to get that DLC soon.
Yeah. But the thing that I also wanted to bring up about Christopher Judge is, like, we all know that the situation with the current Wrap It Up controversy is mostly because of Christopher Judge's situation last year, which kind of sucks because, I don't think he intended to trigger that. But I got to say, people being mad at him over the joke that he threw at the Call of Duty devs, I thought it was hilarious. Like, go ahead, be mad. I don't care. Like, what the way he just goes, oh, my speech last year lasted longer than this year's Call of Duty campaign. And people are so mad. Like, did you see the amount of developers that came out? Like, they were personally offended.
I have some of their quotes here because I wanted to talk about it.
Oh, good.
But first, like, his joke was, my speech was longer than this year's Call of Duty campaign, and I think I don't play Call of Duty, but I think people are saying it was 3 hours long or something like that.
So I don't play Call of Duty either, but I watch Angry Joe, and Angry Joe plays all of that stuff. And according to what Angry Joe says, if I remember correctly, and it was like the campaign is about 4 hours long, 2 hours of which are filler.
Okay. Yeah. And so he makes that joke. And he's self-depreciating in that joke. He's like, haha, there's another company I can't work for anymore.
Yeah.
And so let me read you some of these quotes by the Call of Duty developers, because I thought it was just like, it's such an overreaction to a very simple joke. Okay, so one of them said, funny, but yeah, the metrics that Call of Duty absolutely destroys all of God of War games, probably combined, is also equally laughable, if not more, in little parentheses.
So let me just like instantly reply to that. That one is so funny to me because it just goes like, oh, they insulted how much people play my game. First of all, let's just say one thing. He did not say Call of Duty was bad.
Yeah.
He said Call of Duty's campaign was short.
In this latest one.
Which, by the way, in the latest one, which, by the way, most people don't even play the campaign. They buy the game and they go into the multiplayer. That's what they do. The only thing that he pointed at is like your single player experience is short. He didn't say your gunplay sucks. He didn't say your gameplay sucks. He didn't say nothing like this. And the first thing that people bring up is what? Engagement. It's like, look, bro, gamers don't give a crap about engagement. We don't care. We care about whether or not we had a good time when we were playing the game. And guess what? People played God of War. Those of us that did, I don't know if you played it, but people that played God of War Ragnarok, the game was phenomenal. I enjoyed every little bit of it. I played it, I finished it, and I'm done, and it's good. It's amazing.
It's not even just about that. Like Christopher Judge is not a representative for God of War. This wasn't a God of War versus Call of Duty thing. He just made a joke on the shortness of the campaign, and they're taking personally. Like, here's another one. Imagine having short user engagement once your game is consumed. Can't relate, and then little laughing emoji with little mouth over the hand over the mouth. And I'm like,
again, engagement.
And I'm like, that's so petty. Like, that's such a petty. And it's like, what do you mean short user? It's a single player solo game that you go through, and okay, so yeah, people stop playing the game when they're finished, and you're over here, yeah, people are it's the words. Once your game is consumed, can't relate. It's like this snide, this very smug attitude, and the calling it consumed because it's this very consumerism mindset. No, it's experience. God of War is supposed to be an experience. You play it, you finish it, you're done. You're not gonna play multiplayer for forever to get the engagement out of people.
Somebody in my chat yesterday, because I was actually talking about this yesterday, somebody said, oh, this has the same energy as the developers complaining about Elden Ring's UX experience. So I was like, oh, yeah, you're right.
The one that like made me the most upset is probably this one. It said, honestly, as Call of Duty developers, we've heard way worse. But we don't expect it from a peer at an event that's supposed to be celebrating this year's achievements in gaming, especially with the information that was leaked about its development, assuming Call of Duty. And I'm assuming that she means that they were under some kind of like heavy development time crunch or something like that.
I would imagine, yeah. I don't know the situation with this year's Call of Duty, but let me tell you something. If anybody thinks that Christopher Judge is following the leaks of Call of Duty, Christopher Judge barely even has time to play video games, from my understanding, because he spends most of his time with his family, and the rest of his time that he's not with his family, he's voice acting Kratos, because they did like the new DLC or whatever, and they're probably working on the third game because there's probably going to be one.
Yeah. It's this like thing, like the last one is what was weird, because it's like they're acting like he's punching down.
Yeah.
And like, first of all, they're talking about how big they are, how giant their user base is, like bigger than all the Call of Duties combined. I mean, all the God of Wars combined. And they're like, oh, they're punching down on us. Like, okay, but he's not punching down. He didn't criticize any specific people. He didn't say anything about the development staff. He said that the campaign is short. And if that's not your fault, then he's not talking to you. Like, if you weren't the one that made that decision, it's not about you. Why are you insulted?
That's the thing. It almost feels like some of these developers are projecting. They're like, God damn it, he's right, but I'm going to rail him anyway. That's the vibe that I get. Because, like, look, a lot of times people go online and they will criticize content creators. I consume a lot of, like, commentary community videos and stuff like that. And I'll often hear them, like, completely rail on gaming content creators, saying that we're all bought and paid for it. And but I don't make a video talking about it because I'm like, yeah, that's not me. I don't care. Doesn't matter. Like, if I was to make a video, it's like, not all of us are bought and paid for, it's like, yeah, you're projecting.
Yeah, it's a little suspicious. Who funds you?
Yeah. Unless somebody specifically targets me in, like, my comment section or whatever, and specifically goes, you are bought and paid for, then I'll be like, no. Let's talk about this. But it's like, if someone just throws it out there, it's like, I don't care. But these developers getting so offended about it, it definitely feels like they're projecting a little bit.
I have pet peeves in my comments. Like, I've gotten to the point where I had spent most of my time on YouTube reading all of the comments, and every single comment, like all of them.
It's toxic, bro.
And I kept doing it, but then I realized I really think it's making me a worse person. Like I've always had this attitude, is like, you should listen to people, even if people are wrong, even if they're not very bright. You should listen to people. And early in the YouTube career, I was like, you know, they went through the trouble of writing a comment. Even if I don't respond, I should at least look at them. But like, it taints your soul. It taints your soul. Makes me worse. Makes me uninterested in what people. It makes me. It shows me how uninteresting and dumb the majority of people are when they write comments.
See, I disagree with you, because that is the perception that you are getting. And let me explain to you why you're getting that perception. Because you will go through your comment section and you will read like 50 positive comments of people saying like, oh, fantastic work. And then you'll read like 2 bad comments, and your brain will be like, I freaking hate everybody.
I hate all these
They're
people.
all terrible. I hate all these. But it's like, it's 2 people. Okay, that's the thing. You got to really analyze and balance it out, because a lot of times I get that as well. Like, somebody will go in and they'll leave a mean comment, they'll insult your work and whatever, and your brain just has this negative bias to instantly like, no, what this person says is the most important thing because they're crapping all over me. And your brain has this uncanny ability to just ignore the other 100, 200, 300 incredibly positive comments of people that are actually supporting you and matter way more than the people that are leaving negative comments.
Yeah.
And your brain just goes like, no, you're terrible because of what these 2 people said in your comment section. That's something that's only going to ever improve with the years that you keep going. Because, like, I've been doing this for like 15, 17 years at this point. I don't even know anymore. And it's like, after a while, I started realizing, no, wait a minute. There's just like 5 people, whatever, that are criticizing me. Maybe I can pick apart some of their criticism and improve a little aspect of it. But there's also like 100 other people that actually really enjoy what I'm doing. Why am I being like all mad about this? This is ridiculous.
I've thought about this.
Your brain definitely does that.
I've thought about this. I'm like, and I've wondered why we're like that. Like, why does that happen to everybody? Because you're completely right.
Survival instinct.
Yeah, it has to be an evolutionary adaptation, and it's like because like when people are giving you positive comments, Like I'm just like reading past them. I'm like skimming them. Oh yeah, great, another positive comment. But it's like doing very little. They're almost invisible to me. And then when you see a negative comment, you're like hyper focused on it. You're like zeroing it in on it, and you're reading the words, and you're like already arguing with him, even if you're not typing. You're already arguing with the comment, even if you're not typing. And it has to be because if people are giving you positive feedback, that means everything's going as expected.
Everything's fine.
Yeah, everything's fine. You wanted positive. You made the video, and you were expecting people to give you positive feedback. You were expecting it to be a good video. And so if it's a good video and people give you positive feedback, oh, everything's exactly within my expectations. Everything's exactly how it should be. I don't need to pay attention to it. But if you're getting a bunch of negative comments and dislikes, oh, now you got to pay attention. Like something's gone wrong. Something has exceeded my expectations and gone in a way that it shouldn't. And I think that's it. Like that's why we do it. Like there's no solution other than like what you said, experience and time doing it.
Yeah, like see, I've gone to the point where I actually read the positive comments with a lot more care now, because and not only that the positive person was also nice enough to leave you a comment, to watch your video. Maybe they're also giving you a little bit of feedback and all of that stuff. But it also just makes you feel better a lot of times to read those positive comments instead of just absorbing the negative ones. So I've gotten into the habit of even almost forcing myself to engage more with the positive ones. Like I'll make little jokes here and there when I find something interesting. Like somebody said something in a recent video of mine. I forget what exactly the expression was, but he was making some kind of oh no, I know what it was. It was with Monster Hunter Wilds, and he said, "That was wild." And then he put a bunch of spaces on it, and then on the bottom he said, "I'm sorry." And so I just go and I reply, "Hi, sorry, I'm Rui." I just start engaging in stuff like that.
Because you're dad.
Yeah, exactly. So it that is much more positive and much more interesting. And a lot of the times, if I see that somebody post something negative, and after a couple of years you start realizing, okay, so this person actually has something to say, or this person is just trying to get a rise out of me. And once I start identifying, okay, this person just trying to get a rise out of me, hide forever, bye. I didn't used to do that. I didn't used to block anyone. I'd be like, no, everybody's welcome. Now it's like, no, I ain't got time. Like, look, if you want to engage in good faith, I'll engage in good faith and we'll have like a big argument, whatever. But the moment I see that somebody's engaging in bad faith, hide, bye. Never see you again. And the best part is thinking about how many of these people are still commenting on my videos.
And not knowing that nobody can see. Yeah.
And thinking that I can see.
I have a few
it
haters
warms my heart
that like I recognize over time because I haven't done anything to them. But they're just mean. And it's like I've got like 5 or 6 of them that come to like video after video and type in their mean comments. And I'm like, this is some dedications. Like I'm not gonna hide them or anything because they're driving up engagement. They post these comments and then people will argue with them in the comment section. And they're just like, and they're coming to the video, they're watching the video, giving me views, and like I know they're seeing the whole thing because they're commenting about things I say towards the end. So it's like, wow, these are like more loyal than my actual people that like my videos. Like I'm gonna have these people long after I fall from popularity and grace, so they're still gonna be on here hating.
Yeah, they're gonna be hate watching you for the rest of their lives. But listen. Getting back to one thing about the Game Awards is that I've seen a sentiment from people where they go and they say, this show should just be about the awards and it should not be about the advertisements or anything like that. And let me make one thing perfectly clear, because this is a very harsh reality that very few people are ready to accept. And I know that people are going to hate me for this. Nobody wants to watch that. I'm sorry to bust your bubble. Nobody wants to watch that. It's just that simple. Like even you said it at the start of the show. You don't want to watch it just for the awards. And let me tell you, I will still watch it just for the awards because, but I guarantee you, like for instance, I had like 2,000 concurrents or something at the peak of the stream.
Yeah.
I guarantee you, like if it's just awards, I'll be lucky to break 200. And I'm not even exaggerating. People might think I'm exaggerating. No, it's just like that. People want to see announcements. The thing that needs to be done is it needs to be balanced. It needs to be balanced a little bit more. We need to allocate more time to allow people to accept their awards graciously and a little bit less time to all of the advertisements and all that. And the thing about the advertisements, because this is another thing that I see people criticizing, always saying like, oh, there's all these advertisements. Like, Well, who the hell do you think pays for the show?
Yeah.
You think people get paid in exposure? Like, you think I mean, we don't need to have like big celebrities on there. I was going to bring up Matthew McConaughey being there. You don't need the big celebrities, but at the end of the day, like, who do you think pays for that stage? Who do you think pays for, like, I'm assuming there's got to be some type of food at the venue.
We got to get rid. We got to get rid of the actors though. Like I don't think anybody cares about the like.
Nope.
This isn't the Oscars. These people play video games. They don't care about who's up on stage, with the possible exception of Kojima and his people. Like that's the only exception. I still don't think they should get 15 minutes to ramble on.
Yeah.
But apart from them, like, nobody cares what I don't even know the guy that I know who he is. I just don't know his name. The guy you just said. What was his name?
Matthew McConaughey.
Yeah. I don't care. don't cut. You don't know the game that you're presenting.
He's
you
a
don't
good
care.
actor, though.
Yeah, fine. But he doesn't care. I can tell he doesn't care about the game that he's promoting. I know
probably doesn't.
I know for a fact that he doesn't.
It's like if you had like Henry Cavill up in there. Henry Cavill, because you know that he's a gamer.
Oh yeah.
Like, he's a gamer, so he would be cool to have because he's a gamer, and I'm assuming. I'm not assuming, but it would be great if those actors would actually go there because they want to go there, not just because they want like a fat payday, right? Like, if I was big and famous, I would still want to go onto the Game Awards stage. You don't got to pay me. Like, even not that long ago, when Elden Ring came out, this is an interesting story. I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but when Elden Ring came out in Portugal, they wanted to have a content creator that would go to the house of a celebrity and kind of like show him the game. And I would have never expected to be chosen for this because I don't make content in Portuguese. I make all of my content in English. So traditionally, they wouldn't have picked me. But the interesting thing is, one of the people that works for Bandai Namco actually kind of like put in a good word, and they were like, oh, this would be the right guy because, I'm probably one of the most experienced people when it comes to Souls in Portugal. I know that I'm being a little bit maybe hyperbolic, but I'm not saying I'm the most experienced one, but I'm probably at least among the top 10, top 20 of people in Portugal when it comes to Souls games in terms of just knowledge. I'm not talking about game skill or anything like that, just knowledge of overall Souls games. So he made kind of a little bit of pressure like, hey, this should be the guy. So they invite me, and I go over, and they ask me, oh, what's the rate for you to go to this dude's house? And then I'm put in a very uncomfortable position because, like, I don't want the money. I don't care about the money. I just want to do it. I just want to do it, like, straight up. I just want to do it. I'll do it for free. I don't care. But that puts me in a very bad position because if I do that, then other people that are working in gaming in Portugal, they're going to, experience some problems if they're trying to get paid gigs and stuff like that. So I spoke with a couple of people that I knew to see, like, hey, would be like an appropriate rate, whatever, to negotiate or whatever to go do this thing. And they gave me a couple of numbers, and I shot back at them something that they would easily accept. And again, I didn't want the money. I don't care about the money. I just want to go do the thing, right? I just want to go in there. It's not even that I care that much about who this celebrity is. It's more like I care about showing Elden Ring in Portugal, speaking in Portuguese. And it was like a cool experience, but the people who edited that video just made it complete crap, which is to say they didn't edit anything at all. They just kept everything in there. It's just 1 hour of me talking to him about the game, and I was like, wow, you didn't edit anything. Okay. I expected you to like edit like some of the best parts that'd be more meaningful, more consumable. No, nothing. Okay. But that's to say, like, right, if I was big and famous, I would still want to go on the stage. You don't got to pay me. I just want to go in there and talk about games. And I would like it if that was more of the attitude that we bring to it. I don't know if Henry Cavill would be up to that or not, but like that's the type of celebrity that I'm thinking about, which could potentially go there just because they're passionate about games.
It's just that
going there for a fat payday.
You can detect their falseness is what bothers me.
Yes.
Like
yeah, exactly.
That's all that this is about. It's like I see there and they're like I can detect how they're not that interested. Like I know they're not that interested. That guy that was shushing people during his presentation, he was giving out an award. So
wait a minute. You're the American and you don't know the name of any of the celebrities, bro? That's Anthony Mackie. He's like Captain America.
I kind of know what they're from, but I don't know their names. Like I kind of know the films that they're in, but I don't know their names. Where's the hang on now. What's this idea? What's this idea like Americans know more celebrities than other people? No. We export interest in celebrity culture. That doesn't mean we have it.
That's fair, but like I think that what was I getting at? I don't know. I lost it. Doesn't matter. Keep going. What
was I saying? I was that guy that was like
the celebrity stuff. Yeah,
he was. You can tell that he doesn't really like. Almost thought it was weird how he was acting. Like he took.
Oh yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Like it was awkward because he kept reacting to what people were saying in the audience, and it was like, okay, it was fun the first time. And then he just kept going and going and going, like running the joke into the ground. And I was like, see, it's not funny anymore. Like, I don't understand what you're doing.
And it's like, it took longer than the actual award that he was presenting. Like the speech didn't last as long as this little gag that he did leading up to it. I was just like, no, it's not good. There needs to be it wasn't like this last year because even the award and the speech is actually interesting. Like it's interesting. Like it's watchable. But it was a lot less interesting this year, I noticed, than it was last year because they didn't have any time and they were all rushed off stage. And I at the moment I didn't realize why. I didn't know why because I didn't see the please, wrap it up. And,
please wrap it up.
And I didn't notice the 30-second thing. But I did. But last year I went back and I looked at the awards. No, the speeches were interesting. That is also content. That is also something people cared about, even if it's less than the many ads that were there for.
Yeah, I agree. They should give it more time. And there's also certain game categories that shouldn't be rattled off. Like, let me tell you something. The esports thing, I don't care, dude. Rattle them off. Gone. Boof. But like stuff like Best RPG, I feel like, didn't Best RPG just get announced in one of those 5 best of segments? Like, oh yeah, and Best RPG, Baldur's Gate 3.
Probably.
I was like, oh, wow. Okay. It's like Best RPG is a category I actually care about a lot. And it's just like it's rattled off like it's nothing. Okay.
All right. I'm tired of the Game Awards. I'm tired of talking about it. Let's move on.
Wait, I mean, I don't know if you mean you're tired of talking about the controversy or because I wanted to ask you, like, what was like your favorite reveals? Because there's a ton of stuff that I cared about.
Obviously,
reveals.
I actually didn't care that much about obviously Wilds. Yeah, obviously Wilds.
I mean, Wilds is obvious, but I'm talking about anything else, or was that it?
Let me see. What else was there? The trailer for Rurikhan was interesting, I guess, but I'm already interested in that.
Yeah.
No. Well, remind me, was there anything you liked?
Did you like Mass Effect at all?
Yes.
Exodus.
They showed something about Mass Effect?
The game that Matthew McConaughey was presenting.
Oh.
It's called Exodus, and it is actually made by ex-BioWare developers and some people from EA and whatnot. And it was giving off some serious Mass Effect vibes. So that game to me was very interesting, but it doesn't really have a release date or anything. So that was one of them. And then like you got all those.
Hang on. This is slightly related, but we're not going to get back to this later. So I want to. So do you like BioWare games? Dragon Age and Mass Effect and such?
Yes.
So do you think that, because we know they're making a Dragon Age game right now, they're working on something. And I'm like, I just don't see how they're going to... It would have to be ridiculously amazing to exist in a post-Baldur's Gate 3 world. Like, we live in a post-Baldur's Gate 3 world. If you're gonna make a Dragon Age game, I don't think you can just go back and do it how you were doing it before. Like, it will contrast with Baldur's Gate 3 really badly because they have similar styles.
The problem is if you go down that road, then nobody can make any more games anymore because Baldur's Gate 3 exists. I understand, but it's like, to me, if they make something that's closer to their older games, I think they'll be fine. I think it'll be okay. Because at the end of the day, they're still giving you a different world, different lore. They have their different things that they can bring to the table without needing to go the exhaustive choice route. But they do need to have meaningful choices. They can't do like a Starfield type of choice where most stuff doesn't actually matter, right? But to me, I don't have a whole lot of faith in the current BioWare. Yeah, I just don't have a whole lot of faith in them. Which is, they're making like a Mass Effect and they're making a Dragon Age, and I'm gonna check them out because as a content creator, it's like whatever. I'll play those. I'll see what they're about. But like as a consumer, if I wasn't making content, I'd be like, no, let me wait until those reviews come out. Let me see how that game ages within like 2 months.
But as a content creator, you have to be the one doing the review.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing, right? But yeah, I don't have a whole lot of faith in current BioWare. But like old school BioWare, maybe they'll pull it off with the
new one.
thing.
All right, what other ones were you interested in?
So there was obviously the free DLC for God of War. Do you care about that? Did you play God of War even? God of War Ragnarok?
I played God of War Ragnarok. I kind of liked it, but I'm not sure that those are the type of games for me. There are sections about it that I found intolerable. the one where he's talking with the girl on the yak for an extended period of time in that forest. I just really had trouble getting through that. The climbing the mountain and Atreus is talking to himself. It's just like, no, I'm not doing that again.
That's one of the problems with a lot of Sony games. I mean, particularly for me as a streamer, that's one of the problems with their games is that the characters don't shut up. It's like I'm trying to do commentary and talk in the chat and whatnot, and the characters don't let me get a word in because they're just always talking. And yeah, that does get annoying. But I want to check that out. 16 also got DLC. I don't know if you played the 16 or not, if you care.
I did.
I haven't.
I didn't like it. But I didn't.
Oh, you didn't like 16?
I didn't finish it. But it's like it's not like the kind of thing where I'm like, oh, I hate it. I just didn't like it and I put it down. You just don't have
strong feelings for it.
Yeah,
I get it.
Yeah.
So that was another one, but I guess I'll just go to the big one because I don't think you'll care about a lot of these other ones that I have here. The big one is Light No Fire.
Oh yeah. Oh my god. Okay.
Did that get you?
So
here we go.
I am a No Man's Sky hater from the old days.
Oh, damn.
But it's not because I don't respect what they did. I like the fact that they fixed their game. But No Man's Sky was probably the last game that I believed in. Like I was like looking at the trailers and I was looking at what Sean Murray was saying in interviews and I was like, oh my god, it's the greatest thing ever. I was shilling that to everybody and I looked the fool afterwards. Like I legitimately had my feelings hurt for years after that, and like I trusted no game. That was the game. We all have that game that disillusioned us so much that we don't trust the games industry or advertisements anymore. That was the one for me. Because it looked amazing, and he talked about how it was going to have multiplayer, and you could go to a planet that your friend had been, and you could see the same tree. And I'm like, wow, wonderful. And he's talked about co-op like it was real. Like he's literally said that the co-op was there, and that you could go and see your friends. And it wasn't, and that didn't even become clear until after the game had come out, and articles written about, hey, I went to this place, my friend also went to this place, we're both in the same place, we can't see each other. It wasn't obvious to anybody that he had lied until after the game came out. And so, like, I was just... Yeah, go ahead.
I always like to bring one thing up when it comes to that, and that is the one... I didn't see all of the interviews that he ever did, but the one interview that always comes to mind, I remember he was on some stage somewhere, and people were asking him about multiplayer, and I remember him specifically saying, this is not the game that you're going to boot up and you're going to go play with your friends. Yeah. I remember him specifically saying this in an interview, and I was like, okay, so it's not that type of game, so I never even cared about co-op when it launched.
I distinctly remember an interview where he was like, they asked him, is there co-op or is there multiplayer? And he said yes, straight up. Just straight up said yes, no other things.
He also said that, true.
The thing that he seemed to be like putting his little asterisk on was that, like, but the world's so big you'll never find anyone.
You'll never find them, yeah.
And that was bullshit. And so so afterwards I was angry for like forever. I've never stopped being angry. And
so you played. So wait a minute. You played the game
on release, and I've never played it again.
So you didn't like it on release?
No. I thought it was trash.
Because let me tell you, I liked it on release. I don't think it was perfect, but I liked it on release. I liked the experience of, like, running around your spaceship and jumping to planets and whatnot and all of that. Yeah,
that's probably because, well, you like spaceships a lot. I know you
I
like.
love, dude. I love spaceships. Yeah, you're right, because I am biased towards like sci-fi games, which is again, it's one of the reasons why I was able to enjoy
Enjoy
Starfield,
Starfield, yeah.
where everybody hates it. And it's like, yeah, I get it, but like, look, I played Elite Dangerous. Elite Dangerous didn't let me go inside my ship. Starfield let me do that. It was great. I loved it. I just want to go inside my ship. But yeah,
but as to the presentation, so he
Light
makes
No Fire.
light no fire, and you know, it's not like, I recognize the game's probably good now, and if I played it now, I probably would enjoy it. But
No Man's Sky is excellent.
Yeah,
dude.
I just resent having to buy it again. I will play it when Sean Murray personally delivers me a copy in
Wait a minute.
penance.
Why do you have to buy it again?
Because I don't have the system.
You sold your copy?
I don't have the system that it was
PS4?
downloaded on.
You don't have the system that it was downloaded on. So is it on a PS4?
I think so.
I guess it's not associated with your account because you would be able to just download it.
Yeah, I don't have the account anymore.
Okay.
It was just a long time ago.
I understand.
It was on release.
Yeah. But yeah, like No Man's Sky right now is really good. As a matter of fact, I even bought it on PC recently because I want to see if I can get it to work with a HOTAS, because you know, me and the HOTAS thing. It's like, because that's the one thing that I don't like about No Man's Sky is I don't like how arcadey the ship controls are. I'm like, no, I want a simulation ship in No Man's Sky, okay? I want to have Elite Dangerous controls in No Man's Sky, said nobody ever.
Have you played Outer Wilds yet? Now that I'm remembering.
No. No. Still on the pile of shame. Maybe someday.
It has your physics that you like. Play the game.
But it's got a wooden ship. I need a good ship, dude. Give me a mod that gives me like... Listen, give me a mod that gives me the Millennium Falcon in Outer Wilds, and I'll play it. No, but like current No Man's Sky is really good. I would highly recommend to anyone because they've done so much stuff on it. Like right now, you even have trench runs, like the original Star Wars trilogies.
Oh, that's
you have
neat.
fights where you do trench runs, and you know you can do it co-op and whatnot. The co-op, the way that I was doing it last time, was still not perfect, but that's also because I was playing on PlayStation with a friend that was playing through Game Pass on his Xbox. And I'm not sure how much that messes with the multiplayer, but it was working somehow. But yeah, I enjoy the freedom and the amount of stuff that you can do. Because like right now, not only you have ships, you have other vehicles like land vehicles, you have a mech, you can build bases, you can have these settlements that actually develop themselves kind of, and you make some decisions around them. You can have capital ships that you take with you. There's a bunch of new stuff. Like there's even submarines and you can go underwater and all of that, which is kind of like those are the systems that you now see in Light No Fire because they figured out all of those systems. And in Light No Fire, Sean just goes like, okay, so we did a universe. Now we're making an Earth-sized open world.
When I was looking at that, I was when I was looking at it, it's like, Sean, what are you doing, Sean? No, be careful, Sean. Remember what happened last time? And he just kept going. Mountains the size of real mountains, like an Earth-sized game. Yeah. It's. I'm like, oh my god, what are you doing, Sean? And then he doubles down in his Twitter. He's making fun of himself, like overpromising. And I'm like, okay, at least he's confident. Like he knows what happened last time. He's confident that this time it's not going to be like last time. So that's encouraging.
Let's put it like that. What did happen last time? They made a bunch of money. He took a bunch of flack and then eventually turned it around.
Yeah.
So it's like he's had experience. He's ready to take that flack again as long as he makes a lot of money and then he turns it around.
There was a thing in Cyberpunk tweeting under his comment, and he's like, it's okay. Even if it's bad, you could just fix it later. And I'm like, oh my god, these people.
The thing is, I don't know how many more of those the industry has in them. Like, you know, the whole release it now and fix it later. Because you see a lot of games getting left by the wayside. Like Anthem got left by the wayside with that particular idea of like, oh, release it now, fix it later. Now it's dead. Wild Hearts, oh, release it now, fix it later. Pretty much dead.
Poor Wild Hearts.
There's a bunch of games that are dying. Yeah, I loved Wild Hearts. Wild Hearts was awesome, but yeah. It sucks. But yeah, those are like the big ones that I care about.
Light No Fire actually did look good. Like the mountains actually did look like That is one thing that I've always hated, that video game mountains are just big hills, and they just look impressive from a distance, but they're not actually the size of a real mountain, because a real mountain would take so much time to climb. But yeah, no, it looks good. I will maybe give it a chance when Sean sends me my personalized apology copy of No Man's Sky.
You know, I actually I sent them an email to Hello Games. I sent them an email and I was like, "Hey, I'd like to interview Sean Murray." They never replied.
I guess I'll be waiting a while.
Well, I'll just rattle off. Like sometimes I'm like, "Hey, I'm just gonna try and get somebody." This was when I was like really into No Man's Sky. There was a point this year where I was like really into it when they released the Interceptor update and whatnot, which brought a bunch of new features. And I was really enjoying it. I was like, "Oh, it'd be great to do a podcast, talk to him." But unfortunately, I guess
sometimes
I'm not
it works.
Big enough.
You got that Remnant developer.
Tragic.
Yeah,
Tragic is awesome. Yeah, but
doesn't hurt to ask.
I also tried getting Jeff Keighley. At least I got a response from the PR agency that runs his stuff. They said no.
No.
They said he's not interested at this time. Okay, you never know. But yeah, I think that one's going to be fun. Are you playing Dragon's Dogma next year?
Absolutely. I mean, that. I don't actually know what else I would be playing next year other than Dragon's Dogma. That's the thing that for sure is coming out early in the year. I love Dragon's Dogma. I was expecting Monster Hunter 6 and Elden Ring DLC to come out in 2024, so before the Game Awards. And so I was like, oh, I'm going to have a very full year. But now that Elden Ring's DLC didn't show up and Monster Hunter is in 2025, that pretty much leaves my whole year clear of big games that I'm interested in. And it's just Dragon's Dogma.
Have you ever heard about this game? It's got a really good trial.
No. Honestly, this might be the year. Actually, like this might be it. It's not like I have anything else to do.
The Monster Hunter community is gonna kill me. Did you see how Hey Jay tweeted, "What if I became a Final Fantasy 14 content creator?"
I heard about it.
I was like, listen, I had nothing to do with this. But people started blaming me, so I was like, okay, no, I am going to do it. I'm going to get Ratatosker to do it. Because you guys are blaming me for things I didn't do. And this is what you get. I'm going scorched earth. Now, there's going to be a new expansion for it, though. Dawn Trail. Should be fun.
Oh, they've already announced the new one?
Oh, yeah. They did during the Fan Fest and whatnot. There's a new class going to be like dual blades user, whatnot. Yeah. There's a new expansion coming out next year. But the reason I asked about Dragon's Dogma is because I don't know if you're into Neo at all, but there's another game coming out from Koei Tecmo called Rise of Ronin.
Oh, yeah.
Which they just straight up decided, hey, you know what? Let's release that on the exact same day as Dragon's Dogma. This seems like a good idea. Nope.
I have a whole year clear, and you do this. I actually am interested in Rise of the Ronin because I like that historical time period. And I saw in one of their ads they had Matthew Perry, the Commodore that opened the Japanese up to trade by force. And like I almost never see him like depicted in video games, and he looked so cool. It's like, oh my goodness, Matthew Perry, my beloved. I love seeing him, and the Japanese have an interesting view of him. Like they almost don't even dislike him, even though maybe they should, because he was very forceful in the way that he made Japan open up. So I'm totally in this. Modernize Japan, right? But where they're still struggling with the tradition and they're modernizing quickly, and there's that tension between the two. Perfect setting.
And then it releases right on top of Dragon's Dogma. Which,
oh yeah, it's gonna have to wait because Dragon's Dogma is my priority. It's just gonna have to. It's gonna have to wait.
It's gonna be waiting for a while. Gonna be hitting that backlog real hard. But yeah, another one that I would actually recommend. I mean, considering you have plenty of time at this point, I'd recommend you check out Grand Blue Fantasy Relink. I think it's gonna be real good.
Grand Blue Fantasy Relink. Let me type that up.
Yeah,
what's it about?
That's gonna. I mean, there's a mobile game called Grand Blue Fantasy, which is kind of like one of those gacha games, but this is not that. This is an action game. And the reason I initially became interested in it is because you remember a game called Scalebound?
Yes.
So Scalebound was being developed by Platinum Games and Microsoft, and it eventually got canceled. And when that got canceled, I went to the Platinum Games website, started trolling around in there looking for what else they were working on. They were working on this game, Grand Blue Fantasy Relink. And so I was like, oh, this actually looks interesting. It's got like stylized art style, kind of like an RPG type of vibe. I'm still not exactly sure what the game is going to be like. I know that Paradise and 269 from Eric's got to play it. I want to eventually bring them onto the podcast to talk to them about it. But this one I think is going to be really good. But I'm not sure yet because I've been waiting for it for so friggin' long. The only thing I knew is that Platinum Games was involved in it until they got kicked out. Because apparently Platinum Games, there's something with them that a lot of the projects they work on, they end up like Scalebound, gone. What was it called? Atlas. It was not Atlas Fallen. What was it? Babylon's Fall. Like that was trash too. Then they were involved in this one, and apparently Cygames is like, oh, we decided to go our separate ways. I was like, what the hell is happening over at Platinum Games, bro? They do so many good games, and then they mess it up.
Yeah, they don't have the reputation that they used to. Like it's not a guaranteed.
Yeah, not
like
anymore.
people before, Platinum Games, yeah, I'll play it. I don't even care what it is.
Yep.
I like their gameplay. I'll play it. No longer.
Yeah. Yeah, that's one of the big ones for me. I'll see if that one pans out or not.
All right, let's move on. Let's talk about let's talk about the Elden Ring DLC. Rurikhan, where's my DLC? I came there expecting it. Where did it go?
Listen, I personally was very much relieved that the DLC was not announced. I know that a lot of people are mad about that. Yeah, I was relieved because I was hoping that it would give me like a clear berth at the beginning of the year so that I can play Grand Blue Fantasy Relink and Dragon's Dogma 2. I want to play those games. I want to enjoy them.
Yeah,
and
but
if
I wanted
Elden
like a
Ring
month
was
of
right.
I wanted a month of free time between them, but I didn't want like what is this? We don't know where it is. We have no idea.
I mean, I'm pretty sure it's going to be on the second semester. If it's not, it's either going to be summer because it wasn't announced now. It's either going to be summer or it's going to be fall. And to me, that's fine. Like, that's perfect. Listen, I'm looking at a list of games that I want to play next year, and I know for a fact I won't be able to play all of these games.
Right.
I know for a fact. So it's like, but then again, I play way more games than you do, so it's whatever. But like for me, I just want it to come out at a point where there's nothing else happening. Okay. I don't want a repeat of 2023. And I understand that this is very much a content creator thing because for most people, they don't care if all games come out at the same time. It doesn't make any difference for them. And I understand, like if I wasn't making content, wouldn't make any difference for me. What? Dragon's Dogma 2, Elden Ring DLC, Grand Blue Fantasy Relink, and Rise of the Ronin all in the same day? Sounds good. Buy them all and play them throughout the year. But as a content creator, that sucks because you have to be timely when you put out your content. So to me, it's a good thing. I understand it's not a good thing for everybody.
I agree. It's just that there's no information. Is like if I knew for sure that your assumption is correct, then I'd be perfect, wonderful, absolutely happy. Summer or fall.
You think it's not coming out next year?
I don't know anything.
It's 100% coming out next year. I don't have a single shadow of a doubt.
I am hoping that in Summer's Game Fest we'll get an announcement for it or something, or they might just shadow drop some information after the anniversary. Give me another screenshot that'll sustain me another year. But it's the fact that I was so sure that it was going to be at Summer Game Fest. Keeley was teasing it with him going to From Software's offices.
Yep.
And I'm like, okay, well, I just don't know anymore. And I'm like, what's going on? It's 2 years of development for this DLC. Maybe more now, because 2 years up until this point. And then let's say it does release in summer or fall. That's 2.5 years. Like and then what's it going to be? Is it so gigantic that it warrants this amount of work doing it? Or did they secretly decide we worked on it so much, maybe we should turn it into a full-on sequel instead of a DLC? And release it at full price later on, like just cancel it and tell everybody we're making it a full game, or it could be anything. Like they don't give us any information, so
Like any of those scenarios works for me. Like, hey, you're going to make a brand new game because you figure there's so much content in here. That sounds friggin' fantastic. Like, I don't have a problem with that. That was already hundreds of hours of content in Elden Ring with one playthrough. One playthrough was over 100 hours for most people, unless you were just like beelining the whole thing. And
if you did all the content, I'd say it's closer to 200. Like if you were just not even like 100%, just did all the caves and all the dungeons and little smaller dungeons, 200 hours, easy.
Yeah, it's insane the amount of content that the game had. So I just think that with Elden Ring, because Elden Ring also suffered a lot of delays, if you remember, because it was announced way earlier than we expected. I feel like they might have made the same mistake with the DLC. They thought that they had it in check, and then they were like, actually, it's not ready, and we don't release it until it's ready, so whatever. I was actually expecting at the Game Awards that we were going to get the announcement of Elden Ring DLC, and we were not going to see anything about Monster Hunter. The thing was, at the very start of the Game Awards, I see Ryozo in the audience, and I was like, whoa, wait a minute. Oh, no.
Yeah.
I instantly tweeted it. I was like, Ryozo's at the Game Awards.
I noticed that Ryozo was at the Game Awards, and I noticed that Miyazaki wasn't. He wasn't at the Game Awards. And in that section where Jeff Keighley was like pointing all of the developers out and thanking them for coming, and Miyazaki wasn't among them, it's like, if he was there, Jeff would have said hello. Like, he would have had to. It's like, he's not there. He's not there, and at that point, I was just like, "Oh my god, the DLC's not going to be here."
Yeah, like I said, to me, this works out fantastic. But I understand the frustration from a lot of people. But at the end of the day, the reason I'm also not concerned is like we are at an age where people crave for information to the detriment of their own enjoyment. Way too often, like this is something that, by the way, we're going to see with Monster Hunter Wilds. Like, you're going to get more information than you actually wanted. They're going to give you that 98% of the roster before you even get your hands on the game, which is something that I don't like. And I'm going to cover it because, Monster Hunter's like the main game of my channel. But let me tell you, as someone that wants to enjoy the game, it sucks. So to me, it's like, hey, look, they're quiet. Fantastic. Don't spoil the game for me. Give it to me when it's ready. I'm good. I haven't been disappointed once by From Software yet. Not once. Well, I lie. I didn't like the Frigid Outskirts. Fuck that place. That place sucked ass.
Okay, but...
I was not a big fan of the Ring It City either.
Oh, you and your Ring It City. That's the best content they ever made. I can't believe it. It's so good.
You say this in a world where Elden Ring exists? No.
Fine. Best content they ever made.
Bloodborne exists, bro. Come on.
That Ring City was cool, and you know it. We got to get you back in the Ring City. You should come. You know what? We should go into the Ring City as a co-op thing. Like, have you done a co-op?
Are you into cruel and unusual torture? Is that what you're telling me?
No, because you put on that dried finger, you get your pills, you put on that dried finger, you get like 50 people invading you, you put on the blue sign so that you get help, and the whole goal is just to get to the end of the Ring City. We're slowly traversing from the beginning to the end. It's the most fun you've ever had.
Okay, so wait. So besides the Gundam Angels, I'm gonna have a bunch of giant dads show up and beat the crap out of me. Oh wow, that seems way better. Thank you.
In fact, we should start in that one spot past the Gundam Angels. That one spot where the arrow guys are shooting arrows.
Yeah, that's the best. I love that bridge, dude. I have fond memories of that place. I also question how balanced that thing was in New Game Plus, because my first experience was in New Game Plus, and I don't know if maybe it was because I remember the Angels were very quickly nerfed. Like it was, I think it was like within a week or something of it being out. They're like, oh yeah, the Gundam Angels, we're nerfing those, and I was like, oh okay. But yeah, I don't know. But I played it in New Game Plus, so I don't know if that might have influenced my opinion on it. But I still loved Gale. Gale was awesome. I love that thing. That was like the most redeeming thing of that was Gale. Gale was a fantastic fight.
Did you like the Demon Prince?
That was the double demon thing, right?
Yes.
I didn't super dislike it. I just didn't like I remember not liking the run back because I think at the time I still had one of the Gundam Angels up because I couldn't find the location of the final angel. So I still had to run through everything and the Gundam Angel shooting at me while I was running to the princes. I think I might be misremembering it, but I think that's how I did it. And yeah, that tainted the thing a little bit. Because see, that's the thing. Thinking back to it, I don't think that boss was bad. I thought that boss was fine. The problem was everything that happened before it tainted the experience for me, where I was like, I hate everything. I hate this goddamn DLC. But no, the Ringed City was not nearly as bad as Frigid Outskirts. Okay, I'll just put it like
okay, there you go. All right, well, fine. Yeah, we're okay with the DLC not coming. So long as it comes this year, towards the end of the year, or summer.
This year's going to be tough. Okay, we got like 2 weeks left. It's
next year, next year. As long as it comes in next year, we're cool. We're good. I can be patient. If it comes out in 2025, that's just no, too long.
Yeah, I do think that it needs to come out. I mean, I'm like 99. Sorry, I'm 99% sure that it's going to come out in 2024.
Okay. All right. Let's actually get to the meat with Monster Hunter Wilds, because that's what I care about right now. Like that's Monster Hunters is where my channel got initially popular, and since I moved away from and just stopped talking about Monster Hunter, because we get, Elden Ring, that's a big source of my popularity, and then Zelda. It's been a long time, so if anything, I have to lure the audience back. It's like, hey guys, remember me? I also do Monster Hunter content. Let's go.
Yeah, it's rough doing variety precisely because of that, but it's a healthier content creation style than doing the same thing over and over, because you end up getting burned out, I feel.
My friend Ziostorm, that does Elden Ring content and doesn't do Monster Hunter content, I went to his stream. And I checked out his stream as part of my stream, and I went to see how he was taking the news. So I go to the part where the Monster Hunter, he's like, "Oh God, please, where's the DLC?" And he's just got his head buried in his hands. He's like, "No."
People were commenting on my video because I posted I clipped my reaction of the DLC. And they were like, "Oh man, Rurikhan's reaction and Ziostorm's reaction are like worlds apart." And I was like, "Oh man, feels bad. Poor Zio. He's just waiting for Elden Ring, man." Look, Zio needs to get on the Monster Hunter train, and you'll have a good time.
He'll have a great time. He would really enjoy covering Monster Hunter.
Listen, yeah, that's the thing. And here's the thing. If he starts doing Monster Hunter, listen, everybody that watches this, go to Zio's channel. Okay, don't harass him too much, but do tell him that he should check out Monster Hunter World, because if he checks out Monster Hunter World, he's going to be able to provide people like that fresh experience that people got with like Hey Jay when he started playing the game and all of that stuff. And that is also something that people enjoy experiencing, it like living vicariously through somebody else that's experiencing their favorite game for the first time. This is one of the reasons why Dark Souls 1 is so popular among people that don't even play Dark Souls. He can kind of like do that and do that content while he's waiting for Elden Ring DLC, and I'm sure he'll have a blast. I like Ziostorm's content a lot, so I'm sure it'd be great to have more Monster Hunter content.
The thing that a lot of people that don't play Monster Hunter don't get is that Monster Hunter is huge. And Monster Hunter World and Wilds is probably going to be comparable to how big Elden Ring was. That it's going to be huge. It's going to be a big deal.
Oh yeah.
So there's
100%.
There's room and there's money in that game. There's gold in that game.
There's gold in them hills.
Yeah. Okay.
No, but it would be interesting for him to check it out. But yeah, it does suck for people that were expecting the DLC. But like for me, that I was not necessarily expecting to get a Monster Hunter reveal. When the thing first came on, did you instantly? No, you didn't, because I saw your reaction. I didn't know it was Monster Hunter.
No,
it took you longer than me.
I suspected, but like it didn't. I wasn't sure until I saw the Capcom logo. I was like, oh yeah.
Wow, it took you all the way till the Capcom logo.
Capcom logo, yeah.
So let me tell you why it threw me off. The reason it threw me off is because the moment you see the first shot, I was like, that's Monster Hunter, 100%. I was like, I was in. Then I look and I see the lightning rod thing, and I was like, what the hell is that? And then I hear the music, and I was like, wait, this is like some sci-fi, high-tech type of vibe. That's when I started, being suspicious. This is not Monster Hunter. Then they show you the frontal shot of the hunter on top of the mountain. I was like, nope, this is it's Monster Hunter, 100% Monster Hunter. Yep, no question.
So, were you just the thing for me when I looked at the trailer and I realized, and I'm going back through it and I'm analyzing it, it's the small monster density for me, bro. That's incredible looking. Like it's the small, like 30. There's like 30 of them in that first shot that they show, and in every shot there's like 30. In every shot that they show, there's a whole slew of them everywhere. And I'm like, they've never done anything like that. There's not 30 small monsters on a map in World.
Yeah, that's what I was saying to people. Like, look, there's more monsters in here than you'll find like in a whole map in World. And it made me wonder, is the reason why they've never done anything like this before?
Because they couldn't.
Because the technology simply didn't allow it. Like their engine hadn't caught up to their ambitions yet. So this is probably what they wanted all along, this type of monster density.
Yes. In Monster Hunter World, I remember there was an interview and the person was talking about how Monster Hunter World was closer to the original idea that they were going to, of a living, breathing ecosystem, like that will go on without you, that exists independent of you. That atmosphere is what they've always been going for, is what the interview was saying. And it's like, okay, yeah, this is an extension of that. They're going even further in that direction. Like this is, I love. Well, okay. Let me get this out of the way.
It's really funny to see how excited we both are for it. I can't even talk about it without smiling. I got a big ass grin on my face right now.
So the main thing, the biggest takeaway from it is that this is not like Monster Hunter Rise. This is more like a sequel to Monster Hunter World, and that was the biggest thing for me, because in retrospect, it's obvious. Oh, it's obvious. They always do this. They have a mainline title that seems to be focused more on the ecology, that's more grounded. The monster designs are more realistic. The hunter is slightly slower, and then they have a portable game that the arts and the silk binds and the combat speed and the monsters are more fantastical, and they care less about that kind of thing, like Magnum Alo. And that's a good dynamic, and they've done that forever. It's just that it wasn't 100% obvious that they were going to continue that in 5th gen. Like, it was a possibility in people's minds that Rise may constitute a shift in how they were going to do that, and that it wasn't going to be mainline portable anymore, and it was just going to be faster and faster and more in the Rise direction, and they were going to abandon that model. But then you see the logo of this thing, and it's got the Monster Hunter World font, not the Monster Hunter font, and then it has the it looks like World. The aesthetic is like World. It has a focus on the monster ecology and the small monster density. Okay, this is a sequel to Monster Hunter World, even if it's not necessarily a sequel with the people. It might not have any of the people from Monster Hunter World, but this is a sequel to Monster Hunter World in spirit. And that's what I would care about. That's really the direction I think I was hoping that they would go in.
See, initially when I was because I did that video recently where I talked about what would be one of my favorite features to have in the game. And it was actually something that I think I talked about to you in the podcast, which was the concept of the multi-staged hunt. I made a video specifically detailing how that would work and how the monster would invade you while you're hunting other monsters and whatnot. And there would be kind of like this rivalry between you and this one monster that you're fighting. And that would be an ideal scenario for me. But while I was contemplating that, another thing was like, what if Capcom goes the other road? This is something that I just was thinking in my head. What if they go the road of like more Devil May Cry style for the next Monster Hunter? And curiously enough, the first thing that popped in my head is like, well, we're going to have dual weapons. That was like the first thing that popped in my head. It's like, if they go any faster than we're doing it right now, we're going to have dual weapons, and we're going to be swapping weapons mid-combo to do crazy stuff, because that would be how they can kind of like exponentially go that road. So when I saw the double weapons, in a way, I'm like, oh, I'm excited because you can have like two weapons. In another way, it also got me thinking back to this idea that I had, oh crap, this was the first thing that I thought about when I thought that the game would be faster. I'm hoping that I'm wrong and maybe the game is not faster. Like I talked
Let
with
me put this.
with
Let me put this perspective. I actually think that it means the opposite. I think it means the opposite.
I hope it does.
Because it could mean two things. It could mean what you're talking about. Maybe the game intends to be faster, and that's why they're giving you two weapons. They're doing more of a Devil May Cry faster rise, but even further beyond thing. But no, I think it could also mean, and this is what I think is more likely, that these are extended hunts. Like the trailer puts a bunch of focus on the open world, on the small monster density, and how open all of the areas in. Those areas that every shot in that trailer showed areas that were more open than anything we've ever seen, ever in World, in Rise. And then that final shot, it looks like it extends further beyond on both directions. So it just looks enormous. So it's either an open world or an extremely large biome, like the size we've never seen before. And so what I think is like maybe they want the hunts to be longer. Like they want expedition style longer hunts. And that's why you need two weapons. So so that you can switch between them for these longer engagements, because maybe you hunt more than one monster in a session. So maybe you have several things that you need to do while you're out there. It's not just go hunt that one monster. Maybe it's hunt that one monster, and you have like other little side quests that you could do. Maybe you go up to the hunter counter and you get 2 or 3 quests at a time, and they're just like, all right, hunt a Rathian, hunt a thing. And so you go out there and you go and find those things. And because these are extended hunts, you would want to have more than one weapon at your side to switch between them.
Yep, that is the other potential road that they can take, and I'm hoping that is the road that they take, because that is the type of game that I want to play. I want something where the hunting is more involved, more deliberate, and we actually go back to hunting instead of boss fighting. Because I understand there is now a subsection of Monster Hunter players that want boss fights and not really hunts. They don't want to hunt.
Yeah.
They see the hunting aspect of Monster Hunter as a deterrent to their enjoyment. And to me, is like, all I can really say about it is like, I just don't think that Monster Hunter might be the game for you if you don't want to hunt monsters. If you want to fight bosses, there are other games where you can go fight bosses. There's a ton of games that let you do boss rushes. But to me, the whole thing has always been about the hunting experience.
Monster Hunter will let you do a boss rush in arenas too.
Yeah. There's that as well.
Yeah.
But to me, it's more about that hunting experience, which is, kind of like what the mount almost said to me in a lot of ways, because you look at the mount and you're like, oh, that thing's got a bedroll on it.
Yeah.
It's got a satchel on the left side. It's got another satchel for your weapon on the right side. What if the satchel on the left side is like a restock thing, but it doesn't have your full inventory like you have? Like, dude, can we get no restock trending, dude? That'd be so awesome. I know there's a lot of people that hate me for it, but it's like, bro, I don't care. I don't care that you hate me for that. Hate me all you want. You're going to thank me later, okay? No restock is better for everyone. I
think it's possible that you won't be able to just fly to the camp. Like the fact that they show a mount, they show that the mount is so central, and they show all of this space means that there's a lot of space because there's a mount. There's a lot of space for you to go to. And so I completely agree with you. What I'm hoping that the mount represents is that it's a secondary camp type thing that doesn't have access to all of your equipment. You can choose what to put into him, and these are extended hunts. Like it's going to take you a minute. It's not going to be this 3-minute Monster Hunter Rise hunts. It's going to be these 10 to 15 minute average. Like that's what I'm thinking. 10 to 15.
I want 30-minute averages. I want them long.
No,
I understand that's not a popular thing, but I want them long. I want 30 minutes.
See, I'm perfectly cool with 30 minutes, but when I say average, I mean like for the average person, it'll take 15 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes. Because if you have to think about the tail end of that distribution. If the average person is taking 15 minutes, then the people at the tails are taking 30, 40 minutes, and that's too much. Like that's too much. I think it's good for me, but I don't think that Capcom would see it that way.
I can accept 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Sure.
I mean, you have to understand, I'll take what I can get, because in Rise, even when I'm not min-max, like even when I'm not doing anything, even with a weapon I'm unfamiliar with, it's like 5 minutes. Like 5 minutes, go kill the thing. It goes down in 5 minutes, even if I'm not playing well, even if I'm not playing optimally.
go do investigations. That'll change real quick.
I didn't get through the whole end game of Rise. I probably
Me
should.
neither. And I wanted to. I wanted to get to 300. It
Yeah.
is so hard. Bro. Oof. When you do like 3 hunts in a row and you don't even level up once, you're like, oh my god. And when you're talking about 3 hunts, you're talking about 3 long hunts where you're perfectly focused the whole time, and it's like, and you get to the end of it, and it's like, wow, that was barely a third of a level. Oof. That's when you really start feeling, and you're like, you know what, maybe I don't need to get to 300. Maybe that's a bit too much effort. Unless you're playing like 4-player co-op and just destroying everything in seconds, then you can go through it. But like, I was doing a lot of it solo, and I was like, nah, this ain't it.
Do you agree with me that you think that the satchels and the equipment on the bird could represent a
portable camp?
Yeah. Okay. Because
I talked about that as well in my theory crafting video. I was also like, I think this could be potentially a portable camp, something where you just kind of like set up in the middle of nowhere instead of having static camps like you have right now. You would actually have to go in, and you have to be on your mount the whole time, because that's the whole thing, right? The theme of the game is wilds. Yeah. You're in the wilds. You're not in the place where there's civilization.
Yes.
You're in the wilds.
Do you think that's the new world?
Say you're like in the front. Oh, I 100%. It's a new world. 100%. Yeah, like
it fits thematically.
And here's the thing. I'm actually going to make a video about it soon. But here's another interesting thing. So, why do I think it's the new world? So, number one, font is the same as Monster Hunter World. Literally the same font for the game. Then on top of it, what do you have on your hunter? You have scout flies, which is something that was introduced with World. You have a slinger, which is something that was introduced.
Sorry, not Clutch Slinger.
I hope it's not Clutch Claw.
Yeah.
But with the slinger situation, and people might be like, well, that's not a big deal. It was in the previous game. Okay, did the hunters in Rise have a slinger? No. Okay, then that, there's another callback to Monster Hunter World. But on top of it, recently we've seen Jono and Joe Bustus from the community of Capcom. They're like, oh, we're having this campaign. There's going to be a discount in Monster Hunter World, and we're going to get #return to world, and we're going to be starting streaming it every week. And I was like, you're getting people to go back to Monster Hunter World. They even said play Monster Hunter World to prepare
for Rise,
for Monster Hunter, not Rise, for Monster Hunter Wilds.
Yeah.
And so that's another kind of like giveaway that they want people to experience the story of World so that they're familiar with the concept of, this takes place in the new world. And then it just like gradually fades into Monster Hunter Wilds, and people just understand, oh, right, we're coming into the new world. This is the place that we're at. And the previous game that we played, it just makes sense. I think I'm like 99% sure that this is the new world. I'm leaving that 1% in just so that people can beat me over the head with
I'm 100%.
You're 100%? Well, there you go.
It's so obviously the new world.
Yeah, it definitely feels like it.
And let me make a small a slinger appreciation post. I love the slinger. I didn't realize how much I like the slinger until like Sunbreak, after not having it like for so long. And I just now tried World again. I'm collecting footage so I can make videos on Wild. And I was like, oh, the slinger's so wonderful. The kunai in Rise is dumb. It's awful. It's nowhere near as good, because the slinger, it's on a dedicated button. You can just look, you shoot and move. It's immediate. You don't. It takes no thought. It's like an extension of your arm. It's beautiful. And then there's so much to interact with it. And in Rise, it's an item. It's tied to an item. It's like in a set position in your hotkey.
I never use it.
You never use it because it's inconvenient. It's extremely inconvenient to use.
It's actually funny because people would keep telling me, because whenever you're doing the investigations and whatnot, you usually want to go around and get spear birds. And people would always tell me like, oh, why don't you just use the kunai to cut the grass? And I was like, because I find it easier to do it with my gun lance. And people don't get that. They're like, no, you can do it faster with the kunai. And I've tried a million times to do it with the kunai. It's like, nope, I can do it way faster with my gun lance every single time. It's not even close. That's how inconvenient that thing is.
Slinger. Oh, how do you feel about the mount in comparison to like the Palamute? Because I don't think there's going to be a Palamute No Palamute
Yeah,
companion.
if you have a mount like that, I don't think you're going to get a Palamute. It wouldn't make a lot of sense. How do I feel about the mount? So I always talk about whenever you're making an open world game, which is something that we haven't talked about yet, but whenever developers are making an open world game, one huge problem that developers a lot of times mess up, not everybody, but a lot of them mess it up, is traversal. They don't think about how is it going to be fun to traverse my world. And just doing a horse is usually not enough. Now, Elden Ring did it well because besides the horse, you also do those crazy jumps that allow you to go to different places and whatnot and give you shortcuts. And so that makes it more interesting. But in a lot of games, a lot of developers are just comfortable like, we'll just slap a horse on there and they go like 50% faster or whatever, and boom, done, problem solved. That's not the way at all. And which is something that it seems Capcom thought about a little bit because you see gliding, you see the mount, going over and mantling through things. So to me, I like the mount. I like the fact that it seems like they put some thought into it. It can walk like a chocobo when it's just like chilling, and then it can go faster, put his forelegs into the ground, run like a Palamute, and it goes a little bit faster. I think they thought out that mount properly, and I think we haven't even seen everything that the mount can do. I think the mount can do way more than what we've seen so far.
Yeah.
That is going to make traversal even more interesting.
I'm usually anti-mount in games like this, but I'm pro-mount if it's sufficiently big. Like if it's sufficiently large and it enhances the feeling of the hunting simulation, which I think it might in this case, then I'm pro-mount. Then I'm pro-mount. Do you think we're in an open world? That's the big question. That's the
So just one more thing about the mount.
yeah.
This is something that just came to my head. It's like, okay, I'm all cool with the mount. You can't be allowed to sharpen while you're on the mount like you did with the Palamute. That was overpowered.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Being able to just like, oh, I'm in the middle of a fight. Let me just call over the Palamute. Now I'm running around the monster. The monster can't catch up to me, and I'm sharpening my weapon. No, that was broken. Get the hell out of here. I said this since the beta. Not the beta, the demo, whatever that we got to play. I was like, okay, this is broken. Like, you should not be allowed to sharpen while you're on the mount. So that's one little asterisk towards the mount aspect. But do I think it is an open world? Yes, because of the fact that they focused so heavily on the mount and in traversal. Like, the hunter literally does not get off the mount. The whole presentation, the whole thing is about as much of the hunter as it is of the mount. So to me, yes, I think it's going to be an open world game.
What do we mean by open world? Because that can mean a lot of things.
Yep. So my view of it, and this is like very idealistic. I don't know if people are going to enjoy what I'm about to say, but this is something that I brought up with Gaijin as well. My view is like everything is the open world. Like, I don't know if you've played the original Last of Us, and Last of Us is not an open world, but one interesting thing about Last of Us is that you had exactly one loading screen. This was back in the PS4 days. You had one loading screen, and that is when you're loading into the game. And that's it. After that, there's no more loading screens. You go through the game, you see the cutscenes, you see all the things. There's no loading screens. There's only one loading screen when you first launch the game and nothing else.
So you're wanting it to be kind of like Tears of the
It's
Kingdom.
not wanting it. I expect it to be like that.
But would you also want it as opposed to other ways it could be?
Yes, I think that would actually be the best way of doing it. There's no loading screens. And the way that it goes is you actually have to physically walk into the hub when you want to go to the hub.
Yeah.
You have to physically go there. And you can't fast travel.
No fast travel at all.
No fast travel.
Look,
people are going to crucify me for this. I don't care. No fast travel at all, because here's my thought process with this. When traversal is fun enough, you don't need fast travel. Like, if you played Spider-Man 2, that game doesn't need fast travel. It has it, doesn't need it, because you can get to where you want sufficiently fast, and it's fun doing so.
I'm very receptive to everything that you're talking about, because I've for long periods of time now, I played World first, and then I went back and played some of the other ones. I played Rise, and one of the things that I think is that we're losing too much inconvenience. Inconvenience is good.
Yep.
Inconvenience is a good thing in these kinds of games, especially when you want to prioritize the feeling of the hunting simulation. Inconvenience is the bread and butter of stuff like that. Inconveniences is how you cultivate immersion, and that matters. That's important to me. It's not just about the fun gameplay. It's also about the inconvenience. That's probably why you don't like the sharpening of the thing on the palamute. It's definitely why I don't like it, because that's supposed to be inconvenient. It's supposed to be a trade-off. You look at a weapon and you're like, okay, it has a lot of sharpness here, but it has very little of the maximum sharpness, and I'll have to keep sharpening it all the time if I want to use this weapon.
Sharpness is a mechanic. This is one of the reasons why I made a whole video where I said that, like, I can't believe they put a skill that just straight up removes sharpness from the game, which was heaven sent. And you get the usual reply from people. It's like, oh, you don't like it, just don't use it. It's like, what the hell do you mean don't use it? I can't stand that argument anymore. It's almost like
the game is designed. Okay. Let me put my usual argument. Like, I need people to understand that's a stupid argument. It makes you look stupid to say it.
It pisses me off.
And I want to really explain why. When a thing is introduced into a game, the game is kind of designed around it. So, like, I'll say, well, I think Monster Hunter Rise's early game is too easy, and then people will say, well, don't make a build. Don't make a build. Then don't upgrade your armor and weapons. It's like, first of all, it's not my job to balance the game. It's Capcom's job to balance the game. I'm not going to spend all of my time. Second of all, I'm not going to restrict myself from interacting with one of the main mechanics of the game, which is build making and set making and fashion, to slightly improve my experience. If the game is balanced poorly, and it shouldn't be up to me to restrict myself. What I'm craving is the game to be of a sufficient challenge, even when I'm trying my hardest, even when I'm experimenting with different things. It should, especially in the early game where you don't know anything of how things work. I had people that started Monster Hunter Rise, first Monster Hunter game that they played, and they found it too easy. And then I forced them to go play World, and then they got their butt kicked in comparison. Like, the early game World is I'd say like 50% harder than Rise, which is I think it's a good balance.
It is a very good thing. Yeah, I agree. I also thought that Rise was way too easy particularly with the village experience. It was terrible. It was so easy. Like, I was killing stuff so fast, and I was like, bro, I'm using a gun lance. This usually doesn't go like this. But it's like, whenever people come up with that argument, the first thing that even comes to mind is like, imagine this, right? You have two professional fighters, like boxing fighters. They're going up against each other, and one of them has an average of like 50-1. 50 wins, 1 defeat. And the other one's the opposite. He's got 1 win, 50 defeats. 50-1 guy goes like, oh man, I don't know if I want to do this fight. I think it's going to be bad. I might hurt this other guy because he's not very good. What are people going to say to that? It's going to be like, well, don't train. Stop training. Handicap yourself. Use only one hand. Like, what the fuck is that argument? It's like, bro, stop. No. If something is in the game, I want to use it.
They make the same argument if something is overpowered. So let's say that a particular weapon is so much stronger than the other weapons that it's easier to use, it's faster to kill times, it's so much better than the other weapons that it's obvious to everyone. And then will people say, well, don't nerf it, just don't use it if you don't like it, use a different weapon. And I'm like,
yeah.
No, that's not how this works. First of all, you're not an omnipotent god that doesn't feel emotion. Like, humans don't work that way. You are a bipedal ape. You are emotionally driven. You don't just play the things because I was like this with the longsword. I didn't use the longsword because it was overpowered. I used it because I liked its moveset.
Because you like it, yeah.
I liked its moveset.
And I make fun of people that do that, but that's fine.
If it needs a nerf, then it needs a nerf. Balance is a real thing. The developers care about balance. People always say stuff like, don't nerf my thing, just buff everything else. No, you nerf the thing. You don't buff everything else. Those things might be perfectly balanced. Maybe it's just your thing that is balanced wrong. Why would I buff 13 other weapons if it's just one move on your weapon that's the problem? No. Why do I need to then scale up all the monsters because when I buffed the weapons, all the monsters got out of whack? They think about the monster's damage and their HP and their move sets. All of these things are thought about when they make it. If they make a mistake, in one thing, why does everything else have to change other than the one thing just because you like the big damage number on your screen? No. Yes, if a nerf it's needed, then it's needed.
Yep, I agree. But yeah, that's the situation. That's why when people start saying, "Oh, you should just not use it." That's why when we talk about restock and we say that it's important that you shouldn't be able to restock, people get mad because they're like, "Oh, what about my bowgun?" It's like, bro, you see the damage your bowgun deals? Like, you understand there needs to be some type of an offset to the ridiculous amount of damage your weapon deals. I hope you understand this. It's not just like, well, I have infinite resource. It's like, I want it to have to be a decision when I'm in a hunt and I'm like, crap.
I think the bird could fix. I could fix this. Like if the bird represents like a secondary inventory, like forget the secondary camp for a moment. Like it could be a portable camp that you have to set up in set locations, and that would be interesting. I'm cool with that. But it also could be that the mount has slots for things for you to put in there, and maybe you can choose between what you want to put in there. Maybe you can assume there's 5 slots. There's probably more, but there's 5 slots, and each slot can have 10 mega potions. Okay, so you can bring 50 mega potions into the hunt if you want, but there's only 5 slots. If you're a gunner, maybe you want to put your ammo of choice in those 5 slots, and so you have to make a choice. Do you want to put 10 mega potions plus the ones on your body and the rest to ammo? Or maybe you need flash bugs or screamer pods or dung pods or whatever. You have to make choices when you have limited space, and you have to make decisions. That's the essence of Monster Hunter, when you have to make choices and trade-offs. Stuff like that is what I'm hoping. I don't think it's just gonna be 5 slots, but you know what I'm saying. It's like I'm perfectly good with that. We need more trade-offs and decision making.
And the thing is, a lot of people don't want that. They just want infinite inventory and bring my whole town inventory into the hunt, and this is fine. It's not a problem. And I think that if you have a situation where the game is entirely open world, like I was describing, right? It'll actually be a decision. Like, say you're deep engaged in the fight with Rathalos, like a really hard Rathalos. You're getting the crap beat out of you. You've used up all of your consumables. You're down to like 2 potions after tapping into the inventory that your bird has. And you're like, okay, I'm all out. You can't just, I'm going to move 5 meters that way, call up a flying bird, go to a camp, refill, and then grab a tail raider, ferry me back to where the monster was while I'm AFK watching porn on my second screen, and then go back to fighting the monster. No, I want it to actually be a decision where you're like, oh crap, this isn't going well. I might have to retreat to the hub. I want that to be a possibility where it's like, look, a hunt is not going well. We should retreat to the hub. And then you retreat to the hub, and then there might be like, I don't know, a chance or something, depending on how long you've been engaged with the hunt. There is a risk that you miss out on that hunt. I think that would be interesting, but very few people will think that's interesting.
I do think that might be a little too severe, but maybe you lose track of the monster. Like, maybe you have to retrack him if you go back to the hub. Like, that seems, I'm totally in favor of the punishment and reward system that you're doing. That seems maybe too severe, but maybe the monster flies off, and if you return to the hunt, you're not engaging with him. You'll have to go through the process of whatever tracking method they have again, because like they had the scout flies in Monster Hunter World, and you had to like pick stuff up, and then you would get a scent, and then you could see the monster. Maybe it's a temporary thing, huh? Maybe when you do that, and when you finally get the monster's location, it's a temporary thing that will show you the direction that the monster's in. And if you don't keep up finding tracks, it will go away. And so when you're fighting the monster and you retreat to the camp, you'll have to go through the process of finding the monster again. I'm very pro that.
Yep. And potentially even having like the balloon in the map like you used to have where you wave to it and once per hunt or whatever, it'll give you the location of the monster. That would be interesting as well, bringing that system back. But
or
not always 100%.
It could be a resource that you could spend to have some, like before the hunt starts, you can like pay somebody with some kind of resource and be like, hey, wander around the battlefield and show me where the monster is. And then you'll like,
oh my God, yes.
But maybe it doesn't just magically mark it. Maybe the balloon will be in a general area and it'll have a radius. And if the monster's in that radius, it'll show you where the monster is. But if it's not in that radius, it'll just tell you the monster's not.
You have to assign where it goes.
Yeah, the monster's not here. So it's like, okay, then you know it's not there, so you go in a different direction other than the one where the balloon's at. It's like, oh, that'd be amazing.
That is actually a really good system. I like that a lot. That sounds fantastic.
I'm very pro your idea of no fast travel, but again, it's like I'm more into the cost of resource kind of thing and rewards like that. So I maybe limited fast travel. Maybe you have to set up something ahead of time to fast travel to a location, kind of thing, rather than like, because I'm trying to be like realistic. This is still a popular mainstream franchise now. It didn't used to be, but it is now after Monster Hunter World, and so there are people that are going to be so severely against that I am like, I worry for Capcom.
I'm surprised you're trying to appeal to those people. This is very out of character for you.
It's more like I'm feeling like I'm in Capcom's boardroom, and I'm a special interest pleader. I'm pleading for my group, which is you and me and people that want a hunting simulation experience rather than a boss fight arena.
Concessions.
And I'm giving concessions like, hey, maybe not that, but maybe something like this to preserve as much as we can. Like that's the kind of attitude that I'm taking here.
If it requires some amount of preparation, I think that's fine. Like but it needs to be a system that you have to engage with. It can't just be like, oh yeah, this is just always available. You just fast travel here, no problem, boom, done. It's something that you prepare ahead of time where it's like, oh, if I have to leave, where would I want to come back to? And you can just put one back at the camp. Or you can even use it like offensively. You can do a fast travel to a place where you know that Rathalos might go and nest or something. And so when he runs away, you're like, let's go. Take me there. Like a Fulton system, like, I was actually thinking a Fulton system like Metal Gear Solid 5. You just, like the balloon comes down, it's like, whoop!
I just had this idea. What do you think of this? What if, so we talked about the limited inventory that might be on your mount, and how there might be a focus here on these extended hunts where you're out there for a significant amount of time. What if you can shoot a little flare on your slinger, shoot it up into the air, and a package will come with resources? So it's like, oh, hey, I've been out here a while, I'm running out of resources, send me some mega potions, and you shoot the flare, and then it costs you some important resource, and then you get a...
People have talked to me about this in my comment section. They wanted like a flare type system. I'm almost like, that system already exists kind of in Generations Ultimate. You can go and you can request them to airdrop provisions for you, and you can choose what the provision is, but I don't think you have control as to where it lands. You just kind of like get, I don't remember exactly because I never used the system too much, but there was a system in there where you can basically request something, and the Palicos, they shoot it up, and then you're in the middle of a hunt and it'll be like, hey, supplies have arrived. And you just see like missiles dropping down on certain areas. If you happen to be in the area, it's like this little rocket missile that comes down and then it opens up and there's supplies inside.
Yeah, I'm very pro that idea.
Yeah.
Give me a second. I'm going to go to the bathroom, but keep the recording running. All right. So what were we talking about?
I mean, I remember us talking about no restocking.
I think we just got done with that conversation. I think we just pretty much got finished. So, let me ask you about this. What did you think about those things that look like Gossorogs that were chasing the hunter in the beginning of the video?
So this is very interesting because your video came out after my video, and I'm going to have to accuse you of stealing my idea, sir, because you said the exact same thing I did.
About it being a new class of monster?
A new category of monsters. Yep, I literally said the same thing.
That's bullshit,
I don't
because
think
hang on. Because like when I was making that video, I was like, yeah, I haven't heard anybody else say this. I'm gonna be the most unique idea.
Nope, I said it first. Sorry. No, but I think it was logical because when you look at a monster like that, right? The first thing that came to mind for me was Rampage. Rampage is like the first time we're actually fighting like a bunch of really big monsters. So Rampage popped into my head. But then I was like, are they really going to do Rampage in here? It doesn't make sense. So I don't think these are going to be large monsters. But at the same time, they're a little bit too big to be small monsters. I mean, you can think about something like the, what are they called? Popos? It's Popos, right? Yeah, those are pretty big. They get really big, but they're not as feral as these guys. So I don't know. Popos are still considered small monsters, critters, for all intents and purposes. But I think that those guys were aggressive enough to where they would be a threat.
Yeah, and they have animations of big monsters.
Yeah.
Like they have they even have that animation where they pick up the armadillo and chuck it a big distance with their mouths. And there's 4 of them. They're coming at you. They're chasing you. No small monster has ever behaved.
There was actually
like
6 at the start of the video. It's like 5 or 6 if you count them. Yeah, it's a ton of them. At the very beginning of the trailer, there's way more. Then later in the trailer, there's only like 2 of them. So my thought process was like, this is a medium monster, and the way that it works is you go on a hunt to hunt them, very much like you go for a big monster, except instead of fighting one monster, you're fighting like this herd of medium monsters, and they give you materials. The same way that, but it's just like, these are monsters. I was thinking about it like, imagine, for instance, a great baggie, right? You have your great baggie, and he's got a couple of other baggies around, but they're always small monsters. The question is, why? It's not like the great baggie is that threatening that he's going to be a problem. Why not have 2 of them? There's no reason not to.
What's that one in Monster Hunter Rise that has the scythe tail? Izunu?
Scythe tail.
The first monster that you fight in Monster Hunter Rise. The one.
Oh, I know. The Izuchi.
Yeah, the Great Izuchi. Okay. So his little small monsters that go with him are coordinated with him, and they have way more HP than the regular ones that are out in the wild. So I was thinking it's something like that, where it's a new category. I'm not actually... It's a new category by default because of how they behave. Like, they might still categorize them in the game as a small monster when you're looking at your journal. So it could just still... They could still... But they don't behave... They definitely are still a new category, whatever the journal says, because no small monster has ever behaved in that manner. And I do think it probably will put it in an entirely new category, because if you look at its tails, the tails are different lengths. I went and looked at the thing again. One of them has like a little nub tail. And
I noticed that.
Doesn't have that long tail. So it's like, maybe they're cuttable. Maybe those tails are cuttable. If it's a small monster with a distinct part that you can break or cut, oh, that's just not a small monster anymore. No. That's something new that they haven't done yet. And so the fact that he's running away, like the thing with small monsters is that they're characterized by this. You can kill them in a few hits. Like you slice at them for a little bit and they die. These things don't look like they'll die immediately. These things look like they're an actual threat. And I think they're just not as valuable as a large monster. Like they might not have a full set, or maybe they do. But the point is, they might see you out in the field and they'll charge at you. And maybe they're not worth it. Maybe they're an inconvenience. That's why the hunter was running into these armadillos to distract them, so he can get away from that situation. Because it might not be worth fighting with these things all the time. And they don't just, chase you like a normal large monster does in even in the game. They chase you down. They're very fast. If you were on foot, you would never get away from them. You'd never be able to get.
Oh yeah.
So
they would just keep coming until you either kill them or you die.
Yeah. So I'm thinking there'll be a medium monster where it's not going to take you 4 minutes to kill one. It'll take maybe a small monster will take you 20 seconds to kill a small monster, like 10 seconds to kill a small monster,
depending on how slow your weapon is.
Yeah. These things will take you a minute or 2 minutes to kill each of damage. Whereas a large monster would take you 10 minutes or 5.
I actually would expect them to take a little bit longer. Because my idea was that the way that they behave, they would be the same time as like a regular hunt. The difference is, instead of fighting one, you're fighting like 4 or 5. It's like you kill each individual one faster, but the overall hunt takes about the same time.
I meant like HP wise, like if they were if they weren't standing, if they're just not attacking and they were standing still, it would take you about a minute or two to bring them down with attacking. Whereas a large monster, if he was standing still, it would still take you a few minutes.
And it opens up all kinds of stuff that you can do with herd mentality. Not specifically for those, because those just seem like they're super feral. Mm-hmm. But you could have some type of a raptor that would actually flank you. That would be interesting. Think almost Jurassic Park, right? How they distract the hunter and then the other one comes in, clever girl. Something like that. One of them just pops out of nowhere where you wouldn't expect, because you're engaged in a
Monster
fight
Hunter style thing, but kind of like those wolves in Elden Ring, where they seem to surround you, but they're actually meaty and hard. They don't just die instantly. That would be very interesting. They seem to have a pack mentality. They try and get behind you. They attack when they try, and the ones in front of you kind of keep their distance, and they nip at you to keep you distracted, and the ones behind you are the ones that really attack. That'd be perfect. That'd be great.
Yep. That was my thought process with those dudes. But keeping up with small monsters, another thing that I was thinking about is everybody was analyzing like the armadillo dudes, and I thought it was interesting that one of the things that I felt like people didn't mention this, but you notice how there's one big dude which everybody's saying is like the male. I don't know if you'll be the male or the female, whatever. Technically speaking, it should be the male. Because usually,
in real life, males usually look like that. They have they're bigger and they have the
exactly, and males can impregnate multiple females, so it makes sense that you have one male and like a pack of females.
Yeah, walruses are like that, and males usually have a signifier that females will use as a proxy for desirability. So like birds will like the bird with the most colorful thing, the bird with the nicest house. They'll look at something in the male, and that will be a proxy for whether or not it's desirable, kind of like the spikes are.
So that's the interesting thing is like you see the way that females congregate around them, and you'd imagine like, okay, so they're all just there to mate. I don't think that's necessarily the reason. I think that this particular monster has evolved so much in a way so that it can, as little spikes, they can also act as lightning rods.
Yeah, to protect the herd.
Essentially act as a protection of the herd.
Yeah. And it's perfect. It makes perfect fantasy sense because the males with the biggest lightning rods that can deal with can protect the most females. Yeah, because they can protect a bigger herd because it'll protect in a larger radius around it. It makes perfect. Like I saw that as like it's exactly what I wanted out of. I know that there is a subsection in the Monster Hunter community that doesn't care about the speculative evolution that Monster Hunter engages in.
But that stuff is interesting.
But that stuff is great. It's what makes Monster Hunter distinct. These aren't generic fantasy dragons all the time. Oh, the generic fantasy dragons are the unusual ones. They're the elder dragons. People are like, oh wow, look at that. That's weird. Don't you think that's weird? Look at that dragon. How does it work? And that's the whole thing. They don't understand how it works. They're more magical looking.
Whereas you have a long floppy neck like that, it looks hilarious.
Yeah, and the normal monsters are just normal animals that are super dangerous. That's what I love about it. The idea that it would evolve this way because there's a mate selection and a natural selection preference for it makes sense. They live in an environment with heavy thunderstorms. They would evolve a way to protect their herd. The males use that as a signifier, and the reason why it's a desirable trait is because the longer the thing is, the wider the area they can protect.
At the end of the day, it looks like size still matters.
Yeah, exactly.
Baby, look at the size of these spikes.
I could protect you so good.
True.
Do you think maybe we can mine those spikes? Because when the lightning bolt hits it, it changes color. And I'm looking at that. That seems like the kind of thing you'd be able to mine and get a special material from.
That's the exact same thing that Gaijin said. I don't know. I didn't see it like that. I still think of it as organic, so I don't know.
Well, yeah, but like bone is organic. Tusks is organic, and you can use it as a crafting material.
Bro, that would really suck for the herd. Imagine, like, he's got, like, the biggest spike, gets struck once, you go in there, like, chop it off. He's like, bro!
You know how long it took to
all
grow
the females wander off? The females go to all the other ones?
Bro, if that happens and like, you actually see the females just leave, I'd be heartbroken. It's like, bro, I'm sorry. I didn't know.
I'm so sorry. It's like, bro, you did me dirty. What the hell? I protected you from that lightning, and this is how you pay me off?
The lightning is very interesting. When he's around the monster, you're protected from the lightning. Lightning doesn't hit. It hits the armadillo, the pangolin.
Yes.
Okay, you know what? Where did all of these biologists come from? Because I had never seen a pangolin. I didn't know what a pangolin was. And then everybody in my comment section, oh, that's clearly a pangolin. What do you mean armadillo? It doesn't look anything like an armadillo. It looks like a pangolin.
I have no idea. Lots of people were saying pangolin as well. I don't know if it's armadillo or pangolin. Doesn't make a difference. We don't even have these animals.
It does look like a pangolin. Okay, fine. But I'm like, where did all these people that know I'm pretty sure like 70% of you just heard somebody say that, and now you're correcting me because now you know. It's like, okay, fine. It looks like a pangolin.
See, this is what we talked about at the start of the show. You're focusing too much on the negative comments. I'm sure there's like 200 comments of people saying like, yeah, armadillos, who cares? Oh, the video was great. Right? And you're like, these goddamn bastards keep correcting me. You need to shut the hell up. I'm not dealing with your crap anymore. Yeah, no, I don't know. I've heard a lot of people say pangolins as well. Like I said, to me, it doesn't make a difference. I don't recognize
it do look
that
like
monster.
it. It do look like that. They're right.
Yeah.
But so the lightning is hitting the spikes on the pangolin, and when you're around the lightning rods, you're also not doing it. But then there's that scene where he's running away from the group and the herd and the monsters.
Lightning looks intentful.
It looks intense. It looks like it's chasing you. It's like
it looks like it's going right after him.
It's hitting really close.
It zaps one of the little pangolin dudes near him. Not one of the ones with the spikes. A female. She just got roasted.
And so what?
It'd be great if you could go there and just loot like well done steak. It's so evil.
And they look dangerous. It looks dangerous. Like it looked like it would do a lot of damage if you took one of those hits. So I'm like, okay, that's going to be a really interesting environmental effect that you're going to have to deal with whenever. It looks like it actually is going to impact your gameplay. It's not just going to be a minor inconvenience.
Yeah, I'm actually wondering if the sand, like, you know how they clear up the sand, and that's clearly like a very important thing, because if you go to the official website, that's literally the first thing that shows up. If you refresh the page, they show everything caked in sand, and then you hit refresh and you see the animation of the sand getting whisked away by wind or whatever change happens. And the interesting thing about that is it got me questioning, is it sand? Could it be something else that is potentially highly conductive and allows the whatever is creating that,
the thunderstorm,
to shoot lightning, the thunderstorm, to be way more accurate, because that is a conductive material.
That's interesting.
I don't know if that is the case or not. It could be.
It could be.
But that's one of the things that I've been thinking
because
about.
you can't. Well, you notice when the thing first happens, whether the sandstorm first blankets everything, your hunter is covered in sand, and so is your mount, and so are all the monsters. Yep. Like there's a visible effect of you being covered in sand, and that's going to have some gameplay implication. We don't know what it's going to do, but if you're right, then potentially that means you're more likely to get hit by lightning. It'll track the sand on your body.
Which again shouldn't be sand, because I don't think that sand is like a good conductor. I don't know. I'm not an electrician, but from my experience, I don't think it conducts very well.
So it could be some kind of
something that would
special,
be like a
special sand.
Yeah, like a mineral or some kind of like that has like maybe iron present on it, or copper or something like that. Copper is an excellent conductor, so maybe some type of copper dust or something like that.
Whatever it happens to be, I'm pro the sand itself having an effect on you.
Yeah.
I'm pro the lightning making you change how you play, but I'm also pro the sand. I'm also pro a lightning rod item that you can put on the ground and that will conduct it, and maybe you can use it as a hunt to try and like knock down the monster.
Yep. That would be interesting, being able to use your own kind of like tools in that scenario. But while we're talking about this lightning storm, right? Who do you think, and this is like a big question, who do you think placed those lightning rods? Was it us?
I think that either... So I think this is in the New World. I think that this is thematically in the New World. I don't know if it's going to have its own ancient civilization that's distinct from the ancient civilizations in the past, or that civilization was so widespread that it also was here, and that's where the lightning rods come from. But they look kind of not fancy. They don't look particularly fancy. So maybe it was people from the New World, and we're kind of exploring this area, and we want to get through it, and so maybe they set up some makeshift lightning towers. It could go either way for me.
See, I think it's an ancient civilization that was more technologically advanced, because that would also explain quite a few things that I brought up in my video, which is, number one, the thing that threw me off when I first saw the trailer, which is the music, because it's very high tech. The beginning of the music is very high tech, and then only a few seconds in, it goes to tribal. So it's like this mix of high tech and tribal, which makes me think that potentially there was an ancient civilization that was a little bit more advanced in this location, and they built the lightning rods so that they could safely traverse the area during storms if needed be. And then on top of it, if you actually pay attention to when they do the reveal of the title, the reveal itself also has some kind of like high-tech sounding chords to it. It's not like a traditional fantasy suite of sounds that you hear. It feels like it's kind of like high-tech. You'd have to listen to it. I can't explain it properly. And then if you look at it, you also have like these almost glyphs that are in the logo and whatnot. and you have all of those crazy circles that almost looks like a little bit like circuitry as well. So that there's a lot of themes there that make me go towards ancient advanced civilization, and we're investigating how they fell, which potentially is whatever Elder Dragon is causing all of those lightning.
So I'm going to tell you why I don't want that to be the case. I'm not saying that it's less likely, but here's why I don't want that to be the case. I'm kind of sick of ancient civilizations a little bit in my video games, but also, like I said, I think this is a sequel to World, a spiritual sequel to World, in that, and I think it's actually taking place in the new world, post Monster Hunter World, with probably new characters, at least some new characters, mostly new characters. And the goal here, I think, is going to be exploring the wild of this continent. Like some people think World happens in an island. No, it's a continent. We just only saw a small part of it, and there's a whole bunch over there. So it's Monster Hunter Wild. There's a Wild West thing going on where you're exploring a untamed land with new monsters. So
you want to be the first one there, is what you're saying? You want to go to uncharted lands?
Yes. Yeah, like the whole new world thing, it evokes images of you take the ship. Before, they couldn't even get the ships over here. Like the ship technology hadn't advanced so that they could sail this far was the canonical reason. And so finally they can get these ships here. And in Monster Hunter World, they've been there for 40 years. So it's explored. It's explored-ish. But this is like, okay, now we're expanding outward. Now we're leaving this thing. It has this mindset of it evokes that explorer mindset, like people coming into the Americas, and now we're going into this vast unknown region, and seeing what's there. So I'm okay with a little ancient civilization stuff, but I definitely don't want to see technology like all over the place. I don't want to see lightning fueled, like steampunk, lightning punk geared technology anywhere.
Equal dragon weapon.
I don't want to see the equal dragon weapon. I want it to focus on the nature and ecology, which seems to be what those shots were showing me.
Well, we'll see, but like I said, to me, like I get a lot of ancient advanced civilization vibes from everything that I saw in the trailer, but it also just could be the result of overanalyzing it and watching it on repeat for way more hours than any person should. Any sane person, anyway. But yeah, it's like I didn't super hyped about it.
I didn't answer the open world thing. You gave.
Yeah, you didn't. I'm sorry.
Yeah, let me talk about that. So your idea, just to clarify, it's kind of like Tears of the Kingdom, where it's like no loading screen, everything is there, and if there is a hub, you can actually just walk into it and walk out of it.
Yes.
Okay. So what I think is that there's just going to be enormous biomes, like huge, enormous biomes. This is one biome. This is savanna. So I've heard some people talk about how they think it's multiple biomes at once. I don't think it's multiple biomes at once. Everything that I saw at the end is just a savanna biome. It just looks kind of like a desert because it's covered with sand before the wind blows it away.
You can see kind of like icy mountains in the distance, and you can see a Elder's Recess type crystalline section as well.
So I don't think you can get to those mountains. I think that those mountains are representative of a second biome that you will be able to go to, but I don't think that you're going to be able to walk.
I will be very sad if you can't.
I think you'll be able to kind of see the edges of it. You walk up to the edge of it, kind of like in the Wildspire Wastes in Monster Hunter World.
Yeah.
You can kind of see the beginnings of the ancient. Yeah. In the Wildspire Wastes, you can get to this foresty area, and it looks like it's the beginning of the ancient forest. And so it's like, okay, I think it's like that, where you'll hit a wall, and it'll just suggest that you can go into that area.
And even in the ancient forest, if you're standing right outside the entrance to the hub, you can see the Wildspire Wastes as well on the other side.
Yeah. So I do think maybe it still will be open world, just not that open. Kind of like how Demon Souls is open world. I don't know if you played Demon Souls, but
Have I played Demon Souls?
Okay, there we go.
Yes.
Okay. So
yeah, I get it. So you have a central hub, and
you have a central hub,
the same
and you'll
way
teleport.
That Monster Hunter World is.
Yes,
it's just bigger maps.
Just huge. Like no one would have ever said Monster Hunter World is open world. Like the idea wouldn't have occurred to it. But now I think that you like if it's big. I've realized if the biomes are big enough, I think people will consider it open world. Even if they are gated like that, especially if they're not so arena-like. It's not like go in there, hunt the monster, 5-minute hunt, 8-minute hunt in world, really more, 8-minute hunt, come back, boom, done. If it's like, no, go into this vast open expanse, find the monster tracks, like really take your time, you have to figure it out. All the things we talked about, basically. If all of that is implemented and the hunts take longer, people will consider it an open world. What stops them from considering it is the speed of things happening. If they were forced to take their time and things were slower, they would totally see it as an open world.
Yep, I agree. There's definitely potential for it being there. But, some people will see it as an open world, some people will not. Like, for instance, you can almost consider Final Fantasy XIV an open world, but at the end of the day, it is sectioned off zones. No, it's not about being linear, it's just sectioned off zones. You just have loading screens in between, but, it's one of those things. But to me, it's not whether or not I would consider it open world just because of the way that I wanted it. It's just I want it that way because I think it'd be more interesting.
I'm pro that. Like, if it ends up being that, I'm not going to have a problem with it. Absolutely not. I'm totally going to be up for what you're talking about. It just completely integrate. Like, it sounds amazing, right? You can walk to the mountain icy peak from the spot where you can see in the trailer. You can walk to the camp and enter it, and then walk out.
You can glide from that circular mountain that you see all the way to camp. You just glide, woo, with your little mount. But I do hope that the mount has a couple of more. Which is why I said I don't think
that mount doesn't even glide. He falls gently. It's not even.
Yeah, it kind of falls gently, which is why I'm saying I'm hoping we haven't seen everything that the mount can do. Because in order for the stuff that I want to work, that mount needs to do more than it does currently in the trailer. There needs to be more interesting traversal elements to it. Again, you have to think about it like Spider-Man. The way that he web slings and you have all of these different tricks that you can do. I don't know if you played it, but like. In Spider-Man, like you web swing, but then not only you web swing, there's a mechanic where you can kind of like shoot your webs to propel yourself forward. There's another mechanic where if you press the right buttons at the right time, it propels you even faster. There's a bunch of different things that you do that are not just web swinging, which is kind of like what I want for a traversal system. It needs to be interactive, not overly demanding so that you can kind of like do it chilling. But at the same time, the interaction gets you to move faster. So it's like if you're really lazy, you can just like hold the run button or whatever and it runs. But if you really want to go fast, you can do things to go fast. Like think for instance when you do, I don't know if you use the Palamute, but I use double palicos. And that caused me to, in Sunbreak, that caused me to get creative with the wire bug to really get distance and get to places faster. I can usually get to the same place that someone with a palico gets there.
I see what you're saying.
Super fast. It's just a more involved way of navigating. That's what I'm saying.
So here's my worry. I actually am not sure that I want that for the mount because for the reason that you just described, actually, what they would do for that, like if they were trying to take that to heart and they want to make the mount more interesting, they'll do something like the Palamute, where they like it dashes a little and then it slows down and you have to time your dashes to keep up the speed, and that sucks. That's boring. I don't like that.
Yeah, but I don't like the way they did it with the Palamute, though. I don't think.
Yeah, but I don't think they can. I don't think they can think up of something with a mount system. Whereas in both of the situations that you described, it's with a slinger. it's not with a slinger. It's with a grappling hook. The Spider-Man, it's a grappling hook, and in the wire bug is a grappling hook. And in both of those things, you have to use your brain, and you have to think three-dimensionally, and you have to be creative to get the same kind.
You think that can't be done with a mount?
I don't know how they would.
You should look up how mounts work in Guild Wars 2.
Okay.
I'm not telling you to play Guild Wars 2. Just look up the way that their mounts work because they have like the best mounts when it comes to MMORPGs, to the point where World of Warcraft basically stole like a combination of two of their mounts to improve their flying system. And basically now in World of Warcraft, whereas previously flying in World of Warcraft was basically swimming on air. Right? It's like you're in the water, but you're in the air, and your character just moves in whatever direction you want, and it's whatever. Now they have this thing which they call dragon flying. It's now swapping name to dynamic flight or whatever. And the way that it works is the mount is realistic. So you have a dragon, and the dragon flies in a realistic fashion. So you have like a stamina gauge, and the stamina allows you to propel the dragon up by flapping the wings faster. He goes up. But once you run out of stamina, you can't keep flapping your wings. Then you aim the dragon down, and he kind of like dives, gains a hell of speed. Like before, I think the speed of World of Warcraft, the movement of flying mounts was like 300% faster. With this, you can get like to 900 because it goes so fast. It's insane. And so I'm imagining a system like that, but in the ground. Like you're not going to be flying in this game, but I'm imagining something like that, right? That requires you to, maybe when you're going uphill, you need to manage some type of stamina, but then when you're going downhill, you can hit a button and he kind of like recovers stamina, starts sliding, starts doing something, right? Just have it be a little bit more interactive like that. Even small things make a massive amount of difference. It just needs to interact with the terrain that you're traversing. Like maybe if you're going through water, you have like a special button, or if you, I don't know, a special button, but like some type of traversal mechanic that you can do when he's in water, where he can kind of like leap through tadpoles or something like that, or some other mechanic where he can just kind of like prepare some type of sliding thing and he slides through the water like he's got skis. I don't know. There's infinite ways of making it interesting. It's just a matter of adapting to the terrain that you're on and making it almost like a little mini game. And like I said, if somebody is lazy, that's fine. They get to the water, the mount just kind of like swims through, and it swims at like 50% of the speed that you can reach if you were to actually engage with the traversal systems. And that is what makes it interesting to traverse the world. Because like, when you have a traversal system like a Spider-Man, like, World of Warcraft and Dragonflight now, a lot of times you'll just be roaming through the scenery because it's fun. And that's the key to a traversal system. And that's why I was saying, if you have something like this, you don't need fast travel because it's fun to just roam through the map.
Okay. I'm having trouble envisioning what they could do, because they have tried that with the Palamutes, and again, the Palamutes I didn't think were very interesting at all.
Yeah, I got rid of the Palamute instantly. See ya.
And so it's like, and it seems like it's, if they implement something like that, I'm fine. Maybe I'm not envisioning it because I didn't play Spider-Man. And I do see what you're kind of saying with the wire bug there. That is fun to do. That is interesting too. I just can't. I'm having trouble envisioning what a ground-based monster.
See, that's the thing. The reason you're having problem envisioning it is because with both examples that we've been talking about when it comes to Monster Hunter, you can't get into a flow state. You can't get into a flow state of running around with a Palamute because it ends, and it's very abrupt. Like when it ends, you're like, okay, now I have to press the button again, and he like freaking scratches the ground for a little bit, and then he pops off again. And that just stops the flow. And that's the part that sucks. And it's the same thing with the wire bugs, because you can shoot a wire bug 3 times if you have an additional wire bug, right? You shoot it out 3 times and then it stops. And that's the problem. You don't get into a flow state, and that's why it doesn't feel good. Like, it feels good that you've mastered, the whole thing about, I can wire bug, and then before, because like in my case, for instance, I don't know if you did this, but when I wire bugged, I would wire bug, do the whole like Tarzan thing. By the time you reach the end of the thing, then I'll press the dodge button because you get a little bit more distance, and then you throw the wire bug again. You don't just chain wire bug after wire bug. You do a little bit thing in between, and that gives you just a little bit more forward momentum, and it feels great to master it. But even after you master it, there's a stopping point. What you need in a traversal system like this is there's no stopping point. If you do it right, it doesn't stop. You can keep running super fast forever. But it's a mini game, and so when you mess it up, it stops. But you can get into a flow state where it just goes. Because like imagine if the running system of the Palamutes didn't stop. Like if you could just keep going super fast, you just have to do inputs at the right time.
With a creative minigame. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So, like I said, I'm not opposed to it. Like I'm totally in favor of that, and maybe I'll get to it and I'll experience it. But I'm not sure. Okay, so let's take Elden Ring. It had Torrent. Torrent was not. Yes. You mentioned that. I don't think that I agree that Torrent was made significantly better by all of the little additions, like the jumping up on that wind area. It's like, okay, that's there. I'm not sure that makes it like so much better than it was before.
No, it doesn't. It's I'm just saying the reason I brought up the Torrent example is because it's better than, say, for instance, when Ubisoft puts a horse on a game. The horse doesn't do anything. It's literally you just move a percentage faster. That's it. That's about the amount of interaction you get with it. And at least with Elden Ring, they're like, oh, you can jump higher when you get to these places, which is cool. So there's a little bit more to it.
You
do
need to use the jump to traverse some locations, and you can use it like you see an item across a gap, and you get on Tor, and you can jump across the gap, and that's interesting. Here's why I keep objecting. I guess it's because, like, have you ever played a video game called Outward?
Yes.
Okay.
Wait. Yes, I have. I didn't play through it all the way, but yes, I have played it.
So I like Outward, and Outward is like the opposite of what you're talking about, because there's no mount, and it's walking, and in fact it encourages you to walk slowly.
And you need a backpack.
And you need a backpack.
To take off your backpack when you fight. It's cool.
Yeah,
I like that.
Yeah, I like that game. And so it's the exact opposite, because traversing long distances is done slowly. You're actually supposed to walk, because if you run everywhere, it'll burn up your stamina, and then you have less stamina to use for a fight, because the stamina recovers relatively slowly in comparison to something like Elden Ring. So like if you get caught in by some monster out in the field, and you've been running and you only have a little bit of stamina, it's going to take like 30 seconds for it to fill back up, and you'll have less of it maximum, because the more you use, the less you'll have throughout the day. Then you need to sleep to get it back. And so there's a lot of mechanics to it. There's a lot of mechanics to the stamina and the health, but they're slow, not minigame mechanics. They're mechanics that are boring to a lot of people. But they're not boring. They make the whole thing extremely interesting to me. And so there's no fast travel in that. And the actual slow walking, it's almost the point. Like it's almost it's a joy in itself, even though there's no fidget spinner minigame in between you and the slow walking. And I think like the beginning part of Death Stranding is probably like that, because you don't have access to all the stuff. But I still found it enjoyable to walk slowly across vast environments, because although Death Stranding does have a little bit of a minigame involved to it sometimes. But no, like I said in a video a long time ago, it's like if you have to distract people, or if you're trying to get rid of the process of travel, then you're doing something wrong, because the travel itself should be fun. I agree with you. I just don't think that's the only way to have fun.
But you're I don't know if you're assuming that you would have all these abilities in your mount from the get-go, but the idea is that you would build on it. Like, I'm not saying you get all of it. Like, even in World of Warcraft, like, you start with like one stamina thing, and it's kind of like hard to, at the very beginning, to actually get the dragon to do what you want, because you only have one thing to take flight. So that means you can only launch off of like cliffs and stuff. You can't just take off from the ground, because your dragon is not going to have enough energy to flap all the way to the skies. So it's a progression system, and what I'm talking about would be at endgame. So like first, you would learn like, hey, if you tap this button here, he runs a little bit faster in these types of areas. And then eventually you do like a special quest, and he learns how to travel on water. And then you do like a quest, and he learns a little bit more about how to go even a little bit faster. So it's like a progression system. And I also feel like Outwards is a fundamentally different system, fundamentally different game from Monster Hunter, because Outworld is much more about the travel. Like, you don't necessarily always have to go back from where you came from.
I was just using it as an example in contrast to
no,
so is Spider-Man. Okay, but you know, I actually I'm seeing what you're saying now. So what if we integrated that, and it was like, so let's say you're in an environment with a lot of water, and the mount needs to traverse water. What if there was some kind of preparation you could do before the hunt that would let him do those things? Yeah,
that's fine.
And so like you'd have the mini game, but then you'd also have that pre-preparation thing that I'm talking about.
Oh, I'm 100% in favor of that.
Yeah. So like that'd be cool. Like then I'd be like, okay, I'd fucking engage with the hell out of it. I paid for that mini game. I paid resources to play that mini game in the water and go faster and
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, then I'm invested. Literally, I invested resources into
like
it.
Anything that, you know, reinforces the preparation aspect of Monster Hunter, I'm all for.
You're
it.
all for it.
Unless it's something that is just like, okay, before you do any hunt, you need to spend like 6,000 points. Like, okay, wait a minute.
Then it's
we might have gone too far.
How do you feel about the cold and hot drinks? That was a little controversial when Rise got rid of them.
Oh, yeah, I always said I want cold and hot drinks because it's a major immersive thing for me. And I know that a lot of people are just like, oh, you just press one button every 5 minutes. Not a big deal. It is a big deal because it's immersion. it's an inconvenience. It makes me more immersed because I'm like, oh, I'm on this zone, and in this zone it's really hot. You got to drink a cold drink. I always thought that was immersive. I remember when I didn't know how to play the game, and I always hated going to the icy mountain because I was like, bro, I don't have these hot drinks. I don't know how to make these things. Like, and I would hate it. But it's like, it makes sense because it's teaching you. It's like, hey, maybe learn. Don't be an asshole. Maybe don't be an idiot. You know. So yeah, I'm all for it. Yeah, hot and cold drinks, 100%. Bring them back. I hated the fact that they removed them in Rise. I thought it was terrible.
I didn't hate them, but I thought it was a way, because it's like, the more and more we streamline everything, the less and less of its core identity is remaining. It's like eventually it's too much, and it's not even that the hot and cold drinks were all that great, but they didn't even try to replace it with something else.
There's no other mechanic that replaces it, that you have to actually do anything, which, again, it goes back to the whole thing where it becomes more of a boss fight situation than a hunting situation. That's what separates Monster Hunter from other games. It's like the fact that you need to sharpen, you need to eat food, you need to prepare, you need to do all of these different things. You don't just go into the hunt and beat the monster to death. Even though that's kind of like what you do in Sunbreak, really.
Well, see, this is why I like the disparate nature of Monster Hunter Mainline and Monster Hunter Portable, because like I my eyes are open now that I've played some of the older games, and I've played Generations Ultimate and For You and World and Rise. Now I get it. See, I also like Rise. Well, Sunbreak. I also liked Sunbreak, and I like beating up the monsters, and I like the speed, and I like the cool, over-the-top anime Devil May Cry action. I do, but I don't want it all the time, and it's not my main preference. Exactly. But I would totally love it if it comes out in portable games every few years. We get a mainline title that appeals to my sensibilities, that gives me the stuff that I want, that's more grounded, that's more realistic, that's more inconvenient, and then you get an over-the-top anime monster killing simulator like Monster Hunter Rise right after. It's a palate cleanser for each other. It's a perfect system. I hope Capcom keeps that forever.
Yeah, it's like, I feel like whenever I talk about these things that people think that I don't like Sunbreak. I loved Sunbreak. I thought it was amazing. I had a blast playing. I put over 1,000 hours into that game. You know, I played Rise. Hell, I played it on 2 platforms, because I played it on Switch, then I played it on PC, then I went back and played it on Switch again. I played the crap out of that game. I love it, and I think it's great, and I'll be down for playing another Monster Hunter like it. But I also want the slower, more methodical experience.
Not right now. Like,
right now.
I need my World too.
Exactly.
You know, I found it odd that people, I would see in my comment sections, even up to my latest video, where it's almost like people are offended that we're calling it World 2, or that Rise isn't Monster Hunter 6. But it's like, we're not insulting it. It's just not. You know, that's not how it works. It's not an insult to not call it a mainline Monster Hunter game.
Yeah, I don't understand. People sometimes get too pedantic when it comes to that stuff, because I do remember, like, in a lot of videos that I said, oh, when, you know, I would talk about Monster Hunter 6, and they would be like, what do you mean Sunbreak's Monster Hunter 6? Like, no, it's not. That's not the way that it works. But, you know, it's understandable, because a lot of people came into the franchise with World, and they kind of don't know how stuff works. And I'm not saying that I'm a big expert, because, you know, I played it before World came out extensively, but I would kind of suck at it because, you know, being a content creator, I would never be able to devote as much resources to playing it as I wanted to, because of the fact that it would come out in Japan 1 year in advance. I was like, well, I can't make content for it because all the content's been made by the time the game releases in the West.
You know, I actually, okay, you know what? I'm going to throw an olive branch. I actually do think that the Rise people have reason to be offended, because, like, if I look at Twitter and basically just Twitter, and I look at how it's not in World, the discussion was old gen versus World and 5th gen when World had released, and that was the big argument. That was the big division in the community. I don't think that's the big division in the community anymore, because the people that started with World, a lot of them became anti-Rise, because they're like, what is this? This isn't what I came to expect in my Monster Hunter game. And so I think the biggest division now is the World and Rise people. And so when the Rise people take offense, I'm like, oh, Yeah, they take offense because the world people do. I see them offending them. Like I see them talking down to the Monster Hunter Rise people. It's like, oh, that's why they're so sensitive. They think that we're saying it as an insult. It's like, this is not a real Monster Hunter game. You know, it's not a main like.
It happens. It happens in a lot of in my comment section where people will just be like, "Yeah, I didn't like Rise. I didn't like Sunbreak. That wasn't Monster Hunter." And I was like, what do you mean it wasn't? Of course it was Monster Hunter. What the hell? The Monster Hunter team would beg to differ.
All right. I'm looking through my notes here. Maybe this is controversial. What do you think about underwater combat? What's your thoughts?
So I've thought about it extensively, and let's just put it like this. Underwater combat, the way that it worked in Monster Hunter Tri or 3 Ultimate, no thank you.
Oh!
Hard pass.
Oh, based! Based, good.
Hard pass.
Good.
If they change it to be like its own mechanic in a way that it kind of like, you know, it makes sense for the weapon that you're using. So if I'm using a sword and shield, the way in which I fight underwater makes sense for the sword and shield.
Yeah.
It changes, but it still makes sense for the way that weapon works. And same thing for gunlands, same thing for all of the other weapons. Like each weapon has its own way of fighting underwater. And it's fun, sure. But the thing is, every time you would go underwater in Monster Hunter Tri and 3 Ultimate, unless you were playing like, I think it was a Lance, unless you're playing a Lance, it friggin' sucks. It friggin' blows. It's not fun. So it's like, why would you want a type of combat in your game that is not fun? That's the way that I look at it. So long as it's not the same that we had in the old game, sure, I'm open to try it out. It's whatever.
Everyone I've talked to is pro underwater. Oh, I want my underwater combat back. And look, I actually do sympathize with that because I've looked at the underwater combat. It looks cool and scary. You know, because like I think what they're wanting is some of that cool and scariness of it. Like I see Lagraiacrus underwater and I see them fighting. It's like it's incredibly scary. It's very immersive. It's very cool. And I'm pro that. But I never actually played it. So I don't know how bad it feels. A lot of people think that it feels bad. But my problem with it is that I think it looks stupid. I think it looks dumb to have a greatsword and just swing that thing around like it's like you're on land. Like the whole big, you need to step on things to get leverage, you know. And I'm just looking at this and like, ugh. And I'm begging people in the comments that are listening to this right now, do not say that thing where it's like, oh, imagine expecting realism in a game with dragons and things shooting fireballs out of the map. Please, you look stupid. You look stupid doing it.
It's like that's one of the best things about Monster Hunter is the believability of the animations, the way that when you swing a greatsword, you can feel the momentum behind the hit, like the way in which they do the true charge slash, and you can tell that this was actually properly planned out. It feels like it's a big meaty hit. I
can prove that the people in Monster Hunter care about realism and believability of monster designs, that they care about the speculative evolution. I can find you interviews and quotes where they're like, we don't want the characters to the players to reject the reality of the monster. Like it's almost word for word what they said. We don't want them to reject the reality of the monster when they see it. Unless it's an elder dragon, because elder dragons are by their nature supposed to be special and magical and weird. So it's like this is the series that cares about immersion and realism, and I care about it in all the things, even if it's magic, even if it has magic, it needs to be believable. It needs to follow rules. So just don't say it. Don't say it. Shut up.
Yeah, it can't just be random nonsense. That there needs to be some type of a rule set to everything that is happening. Like, oh, why does the charge blade do lightning? Well, it's because of the friction with the blade and the shield. You know, it generates energy, then you friction the thing, and then, you know, it shoots out lightning. That's the rule. That's how it works. Why does the switch hack explode? Again, there's like some friction component to it. I'm sure that everybody who designed the weapon can explain to you exactly why things work the way they do, and there's a rule as to why it works like that.
And even if something is unrealistic, like that's not evidence of anything. Like they still do care about it. They just expect your suspension of disbelief to apply to that. But in Monster Hunter specifically, they don't want your suspension of disbelief to go into overdrive for their sakes all the time. They are trying to make it realistic and get you immersed. It's a very on purpose.
Yeah, 100%.
With the portable titles, less so with the portable titles and the portable monsters and their portable monster designs.
There's some very much unrealistic stuff in some of those moves for sure.
Yeah. So yeah, I just if I'm pro underwater. I'm not pro underwater if it's kept the same way. And
yeah, if it's the exact same, I don't think it'll be good.
And someone mentioned this to me in my Discord, but it's like there's a reason why they didn't do underwater in 4U. Like they're not happy with it. Like something about it they themselves didn't like. Otherwise we'd have it in World. We'd have it now. So they're not going to bring it back the same way that it was before because they made the executive decision already that it sucked. So yeah, I'm pro some kind of water thing. In my craziest moments, I was looking at that bow gun and it's like, what if there's like some cool, like it's a permanent weapon there. It's not actually a representative of two weapons at a time. Maybe that's a water weapon, and then you have to use that in the underwater area. And maybe
I wouldn't be against that. That's actually, I know that I've brought this game up before, but that's actually the way that Guild Wars 2 does it. They change the game whenever you get underwater so that it makes more sense. And not to mention that when you get underwater, they don't just put like a blue tint on top of your screen and everything gets blurry. They change the art of the way that things look around you, but you can still see things clearly and it's not blurry. So it doesn't feel like an absolute chore every time you have to do something underwater. And that's fundamentally the design that I would follow if you're going to be putting underwater combat into a game. It needs to be at a point where the players don't want to avoid it. So like, for instance, when I was playing 3 Ultimate, me and my friend, so it's not even just me, but me and a friend that I was playing with, whenever we were fighting Lagiacrus, whenever he was in the water, we would do everything we could to lure him outside.
Yes.
And then we beat the crap out of him on land.
You should be at a disadvantage in the water, is what
you should, but it should be fun.
Yeah, it should be fun.
It shouldn't be like I was saying, like me and my friend would be playing the game. It's like, well, he went underwater. Okay, I guess we'll wait here for a little while or we'll do something to kind of like bring him back because we don't want to go underwater because that's boring.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. That's a good way. Yeah, luring him out of the water. What if there's like bait or stuff that you can put out of the water and try and get them to leave because it's you're stronger on land because humans are stronger on land than they would be underwater.
We're designed to survive on land.
I could even see the mount like being a good swimmer, like in going underwater for and you've got the little bow gun and you're shooting. Like I'm not actually advocating this. This is all very speculation. I don't
pew pew.
I don't even care if there is underwater or not. But it would be interesting if the mount is like underneath it and you're also moving very very gracefully underwater and the monster's moving because it's designed to it and this bird is well adapted to the water. Maybe shooting. Maybe there's different mounts and there's a fish that you can ride.
Yeah, there's potential for that. I thought if there would be an
amphibian type thing that's slower on land but in water just like a fish. It's good.
Yep. That's another thing that there's potential there again to improve the traversal, where depending on the location that you're in, you might want to bring in a different mount.
Oh, that would be so cool. Oh.
Yeah, I thought about that because, like I said, that's literally the way that I keep bringing up Guild Wars 2 for some reason. But it's like, it's literally what Guild Wars 2 does. Like, I've told you that Guild Wars 2 has the best mounts of any MMORPG because they think about it. So, for instance, you have a Raptor mount, which is like your most basic mount. What does it do? It jumps forward. It means it has a good forward momentum jump for clearing certain obstacles. Super basic. Then you have like a rabbit type mount. What does it do? It jumps vertically. So it allows you to jump over certain obstacles that you can't jump with any other mount. Then you have a mount that just flies normally, like swimming through the air. But then you have another mount that does the gliding thing, and that mount goes like 10 times faster than the other one. So it's all about each mount has like a purpose. And I could see something like that in Monster Hunter.
I just thought of this. The mount that you have in the trailer, he has this very slow glide, but it's just he's just falling very slowly. It's not actually, it doesn't actually have much forward momentum with it. And I'm like, wait a minute, now that I'm thinking about it, Monster Hunter doesn't have high fall damage. Like in World, you could jump from the top of the ancient tree to the bottom of the forest, and it wouldn't do any damage to you, barely anything at all.
Do you think you want to know if I think there'll be fall damage? I don't think so.
Okay, but
I think the advantage there is that you still have a little bit of forward momentum, so you can still navigate a little bit better than just straight up falling down.
But what if they did add some kind of fall damage, and that mount can jump off of high places and get you down to lower places faster, and that's part of his gimmick? Like, that would work.
I wouldn't be against it. I'm kind of neutral on that. Like, I like my hunters being, never really having to worry about, I can jump off this cliff and it's fine. But I'm also not against having to worry a little bit about it. But there needs to be some type of indication, because right now we're also trained to not care about fall damage. That suddenly introducing fall damage needs to be done very carefully. You're going to be having a lot of people face planting into the ground and being like,
it'll be a YouTube phenomenon with everybody like, what the fuck?
The face plant of 2025.
Yeah.
Monster Hunter Wilds.
All right. Am I missing anything? Did you have any thoughts on stuff?
No, I pretty much talked about all of my big theories that I have for months, even some of them that I haven't even talked about in the channel yet, like the whole thing about how Capcom's announcing the Return to World campaign, and how that's kind of like an indication we're going to be in the new world. Like, I still need to make that videos. I don't really have a whole lot more right now, no.
I'm just kind of like, I'm super excited. But like, damn, 2025, that could be 2 years. At the lightest.
I have no problem. I have no problem waiting.
You have none.
See, that's the thing. That's the thing. When you play the diversity of video games that I play, you never don't have something that you want to play. There's never a situation like just right now. I want to play like 5 or 6 different games. Just right now. And I don't even have time to play all of those. So to me, waiting until 2025, I have no problems. And I have a huge backlog of games that I also want to get to. So it's like, I got no problem whatsoever. It's fine. The problem for me is content. Because a lot of these games that I want to play, I can't really make content.
You can't make content for them. Yeah.
So that's the part where it gets tricky. But in terms of waiting for a game, I got no problem. Let them cook. I got plenty of time.
So, like, the issue I have with it is that now that the trailer's real and it's out there for me and I'm looking at it, it's like, well, I got to make some content for it. So now I'm like, all right, well, now, okay, so I'm going to make some content for it, and that involves playing Monster Hunter World. And so I started playing Monster Hunter World, and I'm like, God damn, I like Monster Hunter World. It's like,
it's good.
So I'm playing this thing, it's like, oh, man. And the more I play it, the more I want to play Monster Hunter Wilds. It's like, okay, I'm making content for it. It's like this, but it's making it worse. Like, if I wasn't thinking about it, if I could just be like, I'm not, all right, I won't think about it until 2025. I will focus on these other things. I'm not making any content right now. But no, playing World reminded me, oh, wow, it's a great game. It's a wonderful game.
I might replay World before Wilds
comes out. Yeah. Yeah, me too, at this rate.
Might stream the crap out of that. Because here's an interesting thing. I never streamed Base World on YouTube. I streamed it on Twitch. So there's no Base World playthrough. People, a lot of times, they go to like my playthrough of Iceborne. They're like, oh man, I rewatch these all the time. Did you never play Base World on here? And I was like, nope. I played that on Twitch. That was a mistake. I should have played that on here.
I'm going to try and diversify in Wild. My weapon play, because I usually will pick one weapon and I'll stick to it for that game.
Gun lance.
And for you, it's the gun lance every time.
Let's go, Ratatosker. It's time for you to play the gun lance. Come on.
So I was going to play World, and I was like, maybe I'll pick a different weapon. And then I'm like, no, I won't. I know.
No,
me.
Don't play gun lance in World. I'm sorry. No, don't do that.
No.
That's terrible.
Yeah, I know myself. I'm going to play Longsword again in World. But in Wilds, I will try to pick something else. I will pick something different. Yeah, not Insect Blade, not Longsword.
The problem with Gunlance in World, it's actually not in World, but due to the fact that right now you have World Iceborne, the one that you're playing, so the Clutch Claw's already in there, and all the other mechanics, is that the Gunlance's damage is based around you putting the Wyvern Stake Blast into the monster. So it's not like a bonus. It's more like, no, this is the way you need to do this. If you don't do this, your damage is going to suck ass. And finding
Did they nerf
openings,
it when they added that? Did they nerf your normal blast damage when they added that little thing?
I don't remember because they also added like new levels. I know that Chaos Slayer tested all the numbers and he was like, "Nope, this is like the way that it works. You need to do this to get the usual damage that you're used to for Gunlance." And I always thought that like initially I was super excited about it because I even called the very first the Wyvern Stake that they showed the very first time in the Monster Hunter World trailers before Iceborne. They did that and they stuck like a wyvern stake into a Great Jagras' nose. So I just called that move the Nostril Blaster. And I love that thing. I was like, oh, dude, you just shove that right into his nose like, and it explodes. Great. So I love that. And I even loved it when they did it with the Wyvern Stake Blast. The problem is, in the first couple of monsters where you have plenty of openings, like, you know, your Jagrases, even your Rathaloses, all of these monsters that you know, it's going to be fine. But then you get to something that has very little openings, and not only you need to find an opening to put the Wyvern Stake Blast, but then on top of it, you need to hit that specific spot of the monster. That sucks. That was terrible. So, yeah, that's why, unfortunately, I can't recommend. But, you know, Hammer is a lot of fun if you've never played Hammer. Like, if you've never played Clutch Claw Hammer?
No, I haven't.
Try that. Look, I'm not even joking. It's going to blow your mind. It's like some of the most fun you'll ever have in that game. Like, no joke.
How's the Lance?
The Lance is also very fun. I actually wanted to main the Lance in Iceborne because of the Clutch Claw ability. It's super anime. It is super anime. The problem with that is that nobody, I mean, at least in my audience, nobody wanted to see me play Lance. It was super fun. Nobody wanted to see it because it's very much just like poke, 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 counter, poke, poke.
I'm assuming
poke, counter.
you're pro less counters in Wilds, right? Like you're counter tired, I'm assuming.
I mean, it's like if you're talking about World, I think it's fine. There's not that
in comparison
many.
to Rise. In comparison to
Rise, yeah, less counters because every weapon had a counter, and I just don't think it makes that much sense. I think leave counters to like if they want to do it for the longsword, I guess longsword because it became the de facto counter weapon. But not every weapon needs a counter. I think that shield weapons should have a counter just because there's a shield component to it, so it makes sense. They're parrying the blow and opening with a different thing. I think that makes sense. When I say shield weapons, I'm not talking about bowguns. Because bowguns don't actually have a shield. That's like some imaginary projection field that they put on there. It makes no sense. So yeah, I'm talking just about weapons with shields should have a counter as well. Some type of counter. But other weapons, I don't think they need a counter.
I don't really care what they do. I'm never using a bowgun. I don't like the bowguns. It's like I don't even.
Here's the interesting thing. This is gonna blow your mind. Before I played Monster Hunter World, in every Monster Hunter like game, I would always play the ranged weapon. I love ranged weapons. It's great. Like Toki then had like a rifle that you could play. I love playing that thing. You could get like this crazy shot when you charge up your special ability. You could shoot the limbs off of monsters. It was amazing because what it would do is I'd be playing with my friends, and because they're melee, there's a limit to which limbs they could chop off, right? Because they're melee. They can chop off the legs, they can chop off the occasional arm. Me, I'd be like, oh, the right antenna on the right side of the dude's head, pow! Antenna shoots off instantly. It's great. Super satisfying. So like I would always play ranged weapons. The problem in Monster Hunter is the amount of ammunition management. I'm like, no, I'm out. Because the other games don't have ammunition management. You can play ranged weapons and it's like infinite ammo, do whatever you want, and then they just balance it accordingly. Monster Hunter is more like, no, this weapon's busted, but we're going to give you chores to do. And I was like, no, I don't like doing chores. Thanks. I pass. I don't like chores. I don't want to manage ammunition, too much work. Why do you think I play Gunlance? Because I can shoot things with infinite ammo. It's great.
Okay, yeah. Best of both worlds.
Yeah.
For me, it was just like, there's this monster in front of me. It's this cool monster. and I can slice at him with a long sword or a great sword or a hammer or an insect glaive. I could just be up in its face and attack it that way. Why would I want to be at a distance with the bow guns? And the bow guns in Rise and even I think in World had like high kill times. Like they were super strong, and the gameplay doesn't vary that much with them, and the monster dies really fast. Why would I want to take less time killing the monster with less interesting gameplay
because explosions though.
That's a good point.
I love explosions. I love a good explosion. Like, for all the grief I gave people for cluster bombs, bro, cluster bombs look amazing when they're popping off.
The one thing that would tempt me is just to annoy people by like popping off 3-4 cluster bombs when they're all trying to get the monster.
People did that so often. I actually had a friend shoot me out of the air with those little pebbles that the bow would drop in World. Like, I'm coming in with a big, like, it was one of those things where you have that ledge in the Coral Highlands. There's a big ledge and the monsters will go down there. There's an arena. I'm jumping off the ledge to do like a big gunland slam. And my friend does the little pebbles and like knocks me off because I didn't have flinch free. And I was like, bro, fuck your bow, dude. God damn it. I was so mad.
There's something. Okay, I was doing a helm splitter one time. I was with a friend, and we were playing together, and there was a group of people there, and he had a charge blade, and I was doing the helm splitter, and helm splitters in World aren't like in Rise. It takes a lot longer. Like it's several seconds of wind up, and you go up into the air, and you linger in the air a little bit, and then you come down for the helm splitter. It's nowhere near as fast as it is in Rise, and it's really cool feeling when you do it not when the monster's on the ground and you can see that you're lining it up perfectly and you're about to go down, and then this guy uses his charge blade and he like swings upwards with it and knocks me out of the air. And like I don't get my helm splitter, and it's like not even in Iceborne. This wasn't in Iceborne, so he didn't have like the chainsaw thing. So I'm like, why are you swinging that thing up into the air? There's no situation where you need to use that move where it swings upward. I was so angry. They had been in the room. We would have gotten into an actual fight. We were just yelling at each other.
There's a situation to do it. It's exactly that situation when he wants to troll the crap out of you. It's the troll move. That's exactly when he should be doing it.
I was so mad. Oh, but it's moments like that that I love Monster.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. This is one of those arguments that I would have with people, and they would tell me like, "Oh, friendly fire in Remnant 2 is so terrible." It's like, shut the hell up, you're an idiot.
Shut up.
It's great. It's like, I love friendly. It's the same thing. Like when I brought up when they gave us that deco in Sunbreak, I forget what the name of it is. That it's like a one. It's like the super flinch free. I forget what the name of it was. I was like, bro, what the hell is it? You can't even be affected by wyvern fire? Like, what the hell is this? And people are like, oh, this is so great. Now everybody can run. It's like, you're removing so many fun aspects of the game. We're losing so much. You don't even realize it. When the game is fully homogenized and everything is the same and nobody can inconvenience themselves in any way, shape, or form, you're gonna find out just how boring this is gonna be. It's very frustrating that people just don't see that it's in those imperfect moments.
They want anything that doesn't benefit them removed. Like the flinch free, okay, that's already like, oh, you shouldn't be able to stagger your opponents. You shouldn't be able to do anything to anybody else.
You should.
I saw this discussion. I don't remember. There was a group of Monster Hunter. I think it might have been Arx and his group back in the day. And they were talking about flinch free, and they were talking about whether or not it should be. And the guy's like, well, I mean, what's the point of it? So the guy that was advocating to get rid of it's like, what does it do? Like, it's no situation in which it's helpful. And I'm like, it's not supposed to be helpful. It's supposed to let you interact with other people. It's supposed to teach you positioning. It's supposed to, it's not even like it's not even Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate anymore. Like, it's not like those days. Even without flinch free, you don't flinch as much with the moves. The moves don't flinch you as much as they used to. You have immunity from it with a lot of your moves, even if you're using a light weapon. Just deal with it or put on flinch free. Just do it.
Actually, I don't even think we should have flinch free. I don't think we should have it. And I know that a lot of people, they always come at me. It's like, oh, here comes Boomer Rurikhan with his bad takes again. It's like, I don't care. The problem here is, like, when you're playing cooperatively, It's supposed to be a social experience. But if people could, they would play this like you play World of Warcraft with recount on the. As a matter of fact, you have like some version of recount, which is like a DPS meter that people will load up just to see how much damage they're dealing. That's the way they want to play. They just want to like, oh no, I want to see my DPS, and literally anything that inconveniences me in any way to drop my DPS by 0.1% is completely unacceptable. And to me, it's like, no, screw you. Screw your DPS. Like, bro, you're not as skilled as Team Darkseid. You're not. Like, I'm sorry, you're not. Like, 99% of people are not as skilled as Team Darkseid, and it's time they learn it. Like, bro, you're playing this game like you're some goddamn speedrunner. You're not. You think speedrunners give a damn about flinch free? They don't.
They don't slot that in at all.
they don't need any of that shit. They need all of their points into damage. Like, bro, I just don't understand this mentality that people try to get so competitive over a game like Monster Hunter. Like, I've had people tell me that they feel anxiety over going to groups with randoms because they feel like they'll be holding them back. And I'm just like, bro, no. Don't even think about that. It shouldn't even matter. Go in there, learn. And anybody who's an asshole because you're learning, that person's an asshole. He needs to get blocked from the community anyway.
Yeah, but that's not an unrealistic fear. There are a lot of people that because everyone's DPSing, everybody wants to do everything really fast. Like there's less of a tolerance. This is why I'm advocating all the time for an increase of difficulty. Like, there should be more. You shouldn't just be able to min-max your damage all the time and put no defensive skills,
and brute force monsters.
Yeah, and brute force monsters. You shouldn't be able to do that your first try in Monster Hunter Rise. This was why I was complaining about Monster Hunter Rise easy difficulty in its early game. Yes, I know it got harder. It got harder later. Whatever. No, I want difficulty spikes scattered throughout the game in appropriate places, and I want people to lose. I want people to lose several times to a monster, realize what they're doing isn't working, and try and actually play the game properly. Like
force them into using defensives.
Yes, use the defensive stuff, but they won't do it if they can brute force it easily. Like it's okay if they can. If it's okay that if it's brute forceable. I'm not saying it should be impossible. I'm saying it should not be as easy as it is currently in how it has been.
Like, for instance, when they launched Arch-Tempered Kirin, I made a build that I called the Rubber Boots, where it just had every single lightning defensive skill possible, imaginable. And then you grab a gun lance and just shell.
When I was playing
Rubber Boots build.
When I was playing for Ultimate after playing World, I beat World. I beat Arch Extreme Behemoth. Like, I beat the hardest shit in World.
In a group or solo?
In a group on release, like on launch.
Of course, yeah. I was just curious if you had really gone down the, like a Rocky Balboa training montage.
No, like
Eye of the Tiger playing in the background.
Extreme. At the time of release, it was the hardest thing. Like, I think it's harder than Fatalis was at the end. But like on the time of release, it's even hard because you have to coordinate with other people. I was talking to randoms. Like I was like going through groups trying to find somebody that, like, people that wouldn't die and then we had to filter out until we finally had a group. It was very difficult because you had to take care of yourself, you have to take care of other people. It was a whole thing. It was wonderful.
It was fantastic because I basically went back to my World of Warcraft raiding days, and I just raid-led everybody into a really cool strategy where it's like, I'm playing Sword and Shield support. That means none of you have to look at your health pools. Don't even worry about your health pools. That's my problem. Just avoid taking as much damage as possible within reason. But if you need to take a hit, just take a hit. Doesn't even matter. So I would always keep people topped off. And because I was playing Sword and Shield, we would also have full control of when the mounts happened. It's like, okay, we need a mount. Okay, here it comes. Boom, straight up. And, we would know exactly the phases. I would always tell them, if you get Charybdis, go to the edge of the screen, drop the tornadoes at the edge of the screen. I don't want any tornadoes in the middle.
That's clever.
Oh, yeah. Like, I had the whole thing, like, figured out. And it was fantastic. I had an absolute blast planning that out. I bet you were
in charge of dropping the stones on him. In the beginning,
I don't even remember what that was. Stone. Oh, the ones in the thing.
Yeah, the crystal. Yeah.
I would. Drop the crystals as well.
I loved that thing. But so I go back to 4 Ultimate, and I found.
See, this is why you got to play Final Fantasy 14.
to fight Behemoth. Yeah.
I'm gonna get him. This is so you guys keep giving me crap. That's what you get.
That's what you get. So for Ultimate, that one bird wyvern thing that's like got the flash and the poison.
Gypsaros?
Gypsaros. That thing was so difficult. That thing was so difficult.
I love Gypsaros.
and so it was so difficult, like that I needed to make I was like, I can't deal with this flash and this poison. I need to go farm something else to help me with this thing. That's what I'm looking for. Like I want to eventually brute force it. You know, I want to get good at it to be able to brute force this. But when I first start off, I want to get semi-stuck a little bit and then think, like, step back.
But see, you just actually got to a very crucial part of monster. I haven't even talked about this in a long while, and I'm glad you brought it up because that's like a crucial aspect of the old school Monster Hunters, which is you would fight monsters in a certain order in order to get equipment to fight the next monster. Because, like, for instance, you would fight Gypsaros because Gypsaros' stuff is made out of rubber because he has, like, rubbery hides and whatnot. And so his armor gives a lot of lightning resistance because it's made from rubber. So it all makes sense. And then you grab that lightning resistance and you go fight some other lightning enchanted monster. And then you kill the lightning enchanted monster and that gives you lightning gear so that you can go fight a Rathalos because it's weak to lightning. And all of this stuff makes sense. Nowadays, it's like, oh, what armor are you using? Oh, whatever has the most attack.
The most attack, the most damage.
I just grabbed
whatever
the most
my favorite
attack.
YouTuber
I got
told me to put on.
Critical boost, weakness exploit. Like, those are the only skills. Like, fire resistance doesn't matter at all in Rise Sunbreak.
But I don't blame the people.
None
I don't blame
of it
the
matters.
Players.
Because it doesn't matter.
It's the game's
exactly.
fault.
Exactly. So I really want to go back to that. I don't know if we're going to be able to because you saw what happened. And this is something that probably the developers are going to feel strongly about as well. Because when, what was his name? God damn it. The Elemental Dragon. Jesus Christ. Alatreon. When Alatreon came out, what did the babies do? I'm going to call them babies. You fucking babies. What did they do?
They complained that they had to change their build. They didn't want to do it. I can't use my blast. I can't use my poison, my brawl.
And then they go to Steam and like, it's like, bro, you baby. You're a baby. Grow the fuck up. Adapt. Overcome. I beat that bitch with a slap lance. Get the fuck out of here, dude.
And I think we are going more towards that because World did have that more than Rise. Like, okay, World had peppered challenged around it. It wasn't to the level that the 4U had, you know, but World did have it. Anjanath was a wall for a lot of people. People were writing articles about how much of a wall he was in comparison to the monsters that had come up.
I got beat up.
Yeah,
I got beat up really bad. Yeah.
Yeah. And then you would see in forums, Pink Rathian gave people a lot of trouble. It was a damage check that they hadn't been used to up until that point, and they're like, I'm going to have to upgrade my armor. I need to do something. I need to put on poison. The tempered Kirans, the double tempered Kiran fight, the double Bazogoose. No, sorry. The tempered Kiran and the double Bazogoose fight were one-shotting people. They weren't used to it. They had to adapt. You would see people complaining about it. People would argue that World was easy, but it was.
Dude, I got speed ran by a tempered Kiran. I was fighting him close to that camp in Coral Highlands, and he does his big lightning attack. So it kills me. I get carted back to base, and as I'm getting back up, another lightning strikes right where I am, and boom, kills me again. People like speed run. I was like, yeah, he's farming me right now.
Yes. All I'm asking for is to make me adapt. I'm not going to do it if I can brute force it first try with minimal, and neither is anybody else. And so nobody's engaging with these mechanics. I want to engage with mechanics. This was a big problem I had with Rise. There's no point in bringing flash pods because they don't do anything, and they're not that dangerous in the sky anyway. There's no point in bringing screamer pods. I don't even know what affects it anymore. And dung pods, there's definitely no point in bringing dung pods because they're more beneficial.
No, listen. I've never brought dung pods. You're going to bring shit next to your consumables? Come on now. It's just wrong. No, I didn't do it because I figured that it's actually more interesting when stuff goes awry in the middle of a hunt. And it made, not only I find it more interesting personally, but it also made for more interesting streams. So I was like, no, we don't use dung pods here. Whenever someone would come onto my lobby and they would throw a dung pod, they would instantly get shamed. It's like, what is this? What the hell are you doing? Are you crazy? We don't do that here.
Well, I mean, but in Rise, there was no point at all in doing it because it's purely beneficial to have more than one monster around.
Yeah, that was one of the problems of Rise for sure. Like you'd see a monster coming in and you're like, good. Yeah. This is a good thing.
No feeling of dread. No, oh my God, I have to deal with this.
It's more like, oh my God, I'm going to get a free mount. I'm going to get some damage. This is great.
Huge amounts of damage. And you know what's funny in World, I noticed that the dung doesn't even work a lot of the time because you'll hit something with a dung pod and then they'll both move to a different location. Like the monster that you're fighting just decided, okay, it's time to go, and the other one's like, well, I don't want to be here, I just got hit with dung, and they'll both move, and that might happen like 2 or 3 times in a row.
I don't know, I wouldn't use that item, so yeah.
Well, there you go. Damn it, we got to 3 hours again.
Listen, I told you, this is on you. You want to stop, you tell me to stop. Otherwise, like, hey, I like talking about Monster Hunter. This is easy.
After the last time, there was like, I was like, I have to stop taking up 3 hours of this guy's time. Like, it's just too much. It's like every time we talk, it's like 3 hour long podcasts, and like I don't even ask him. I don't even ask him ahead of time. So I was like, no, I gotta. This time we're gonna keep it shorter, and then this happens.
I'm more concerned about like the viewer retention than anything.
I don't care.
That's
about
the
them.
problem with
I don't care about
podcasts.
them. I don't. The podcast does fine, but it's like I don't actually make these podcasts so that people will view them and know what I think. No, I make these podcasts so I have an excuse to talk about with other content creators in a long form thing and get their ideas. This isn't for them; it's for us.
See, you've come to the reason why podcasting is my favorite format. That's exactly the reason why I started doing it too. There you go. I just like talking about games.
All right. Well, that I need to save my voice for the rest of the day, so I think we should probably wrap it up.
Sounds good.
All right. This has been the Yggdrasil podcast. Thank you for coming, Rurikhan.
Thank you very much for having me.
And thank everybody else for watching. Goodbye.